Hi, folks. I'm not quite sure how long this was going to be because yesterday I said it was going to be a brief one and ended up being 3 hours. So I don't expect this to be 3 hours, but I also don't know how much time I'm with y'all's today. Hi, K girl. So I was just checking in on folks for one. But the other part of it was really like I've had some really great conversations with people via DM and thanks, K girl. The What a Whiplash song. Did you like that new song? Or the time limit song? I mean, I like both for different reason. Oh, so the time limit one? Yeah, so oh, Steph G in the middle of the hurricane preps. Please stay safe. Hi, Ren S. Um, CA Olsen too said love the new song. Okay, wonderful. So there's two new songs that I put out. One was called What a Whiplash, um, which just recounts how it may have felt for segments of the fandom, right? Thank you, watching lady, for the Daily Heart Me. And then the other one was a song called Time Limit, which revolves around talking about Lord Debling and how he inspires Colin to chase the carriage. But obviously has a double meaning for myself. Because I would like Lord Debling to be in the picture right now, inspiring our Colin in real life to chase the carriage, to take that risk. Based off of, that one interview that they had where they talk about chasing that carriage, right? Just chase the carriage. Watching Lady said hello. Ren S.A. said, love the new song. It makes me emotional. Oh, that's awesome. I wanted to evoke emotions. I shouldn't have put two new songs right back to back with each other because when you said new song, I'm not sure if you had heard the newest song or if you only heard What a Whiplash. But if it makes you emotional, actually, I still don't know which one it would be because I really try to have, like, when I write what I write, I'm hoping it evokes some sort of emotion. I've never been a fan of people who say, like, music doesn't affect people. Well, I don't know why people would say that, but but there's people that do. And I'm like, I don't know if it can be truly music or like a song if it doesn't create some sort of emotion. You don't ever want people to be indifferent. You would rather have people disagree with it, not like it, than to just not feel anything. Watching Lady said, we already have one. Yes, that is what I'm talking about, Watching Lady. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Um, Watching Lady said, one more, I won't survive. Yeah, I'm not asking for another. The Lord Doubling I am singing of, or I'm not singing, but like in the song, that is who I'm referring to. Noel said, the fandom is very quiet today. It is like we are all choke? CHOK? I'm not quite sure what that means. What does that mean? Unless that's just a typo. I am the worst at figuring out what typos mean. LJFIDDES says, I think we write music from the heart. Absolutely. I'm definitely one person that writes. I'm not a lyricist in the sense of like, there's people who are like lyrical geniuses. That's not my purpose. My purpose when I write is that I write it in the most basic ways so that everybody can understand and feel what I'm talking about. I don't need anybody to think I'm a lyrical genius. I just want people to go on the journey with me. You know what I mean? K-Girl said, enjoyed our Dawson Creek live. That was fun. K-Girl, and I'm so glad you're doing that live with me. It's just so fun. I mean, I love Dawson's Creek so much. Donna DMC, hi, or hey. Linnell, hello. Anol says shock, maybe? In shock? Jenny ZZZY said, hi. Oh, you're Danish, Nols. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So one of the things that, I wanted to flesh out with y'all and because this was a great question posed by someone in my DMs. And it made me like search out my own like motivation or my own heart around things. So the person had asked me this really great, insightful question of like, why now? Why wasn't decisions like this made when there were rumblings that there was a potential relationship that Luke was in? Why does there seem to be a greater sense of respect for Nicola than was ever given to Luke? And I was just like, who? You know, that's a really great question. And so one of the first things, and what I said to this person was, my answer is not going to be satisfactory, but it's going to be honest. Sharon said, good question. I thought it was a really good question and a very inquisitive question. Black Diva also agreed it was a good question. Watching Lady says, my heart tells me there's nothing to worry about. Maybe it's just my intuition. And so, yeah, so when this person asked me that question of like, why now? Why more respect given to Nicola than given to Luke? Rosario said, because Nick called us out and made us actually pay attention. Watching Lady said it's also about how A behaved. It is a lot of those things wrapped up. So let me just say again, this is not satisfactory, and maybe I need to own my own like. Thanks, Ronnie, for the daily heart me. Stella said what Nick said. It is good for Luke too. I agree. Yet I think people always wonder like, why now? Why is it now versus any time earlier, right? It's a very valid question. It's a very valid critique, and it's a very valid thing to wrestle with, right? And so I will answer first quickly. Ronnie said because people reach limits. That's true too. So I will just say from my end, why did I choose to rethink what I should put out? And Ronnie said, are allowed to change their minds. It was even before Nicola posted the normalized not taking film of strangers or something like that. I don't remember the post verbatim. So watching Lady said, I think it was also misinterpreted. Nicola didn't ask to stop shipping them or something like that. But _Brit_Wait said, there's also a clear bias towards Nick in fandom. Most won't admit it. Well, I will admit it, but _Brit_Wait, there definitely is a bias towards Nick. And there is a sincere love for Nicola that is almost unfortunate for her because she's almost put on a pedestal. Thank you, Steph G, for the like my favorite gift. I love the corgi with a little butt shake. It's almost also something that I feel worried for Nicola because people have put her on a pedestal to the point that they're like she can't do any wrong, which is fine until she does do something that won't make the fan base happy. You know what I mean? So I always think it's important to remember people's humanity. They're not always going to make the right decision 100% of the time. And that's where grace comes in. Steph G, thank you for the gifts. So I will say, I'm probably going to fall behind on these chats. And you know how I love reading my chats here. But I got to get this out before I get sidetracked too much with other people's thoughts that I want to totally hear and read. So please continue to send them. It's just that I got to get this out of why I made the pausing decision. The Greenberg Brigade said if Luke had come out in defense of A and shut it down, it would have stopped. I want to address that a little bit in a second. So the first thing is my decision to try to consider like pausing publicly talking too much about Nicola. Privately, I'm more than willing to have that, but just trying to minimize or close to zero have posts around Nicola was not because Nicola put that post up. That it was the video. And here's why I tell what I told to people. Some people, and I had said that they feel like it's a misrepresentation of what Nicola said in an interview, or felt like I was, well, maybe they were not even talking about me, but talking about anyone who uses this interview to say what I'm about to say, which is Nicola had said in an interview when they were being asked those paddle games, you know, if you're walking hand in hand like that, she considers that love. Obviously, you got familial love. It's not like she's never going to hold hands with someone that she's not romantically involved with. I'm not saying that she's never going to be seen walking hand in hand with someone who she's not romantically involved with. But when she is, if she is in a romantic relationship, that is something that she's going to consider as an aspect of showing love. People can feel like that's misrepresented. I will accept that and understand that. I mean, maybe I did misunderstand that, but I will say this. People said, what was it about this video that was different than anything else that you've seen around Jake? And I will say it is because to me, this was the first one where it was not a friend group outing. All the other ones you could dismiss and say it's a friend group outing. This was the first time that there were mutual touch with the way they held each other's hands, and there was no other friend in sight. And every single time I could immediately just say, come on, y'all, this is just a friend group outing. Like, she's always with her friends. This was not the case. They went to a play together, and they were the only two heading to their dinner plans. Now, whether they met friends at the dinner, I don't know. But all I know is they went to watch this play together. Now, have I watched things all the time with a guy friend and I wasn't dating them? Yes. Yes. So does it definitively say that she's dating him just because they were alone and holding hands? Well, okay, yes. The holding hands to me, yes. Because I go to, like, when I went with Chad to the movies, like, we did not hold hands. We were friends. I mean, I loved him. But, like, I respected where he was at. And that would have blurred the lines too much. There was none of that. You know what I mean? So, is the connection of going to a play plus holding hands as you're walking. That was like, to me. Sharon.ry said, do we know that they were the only two at the play? They weren't the only two in the play in the sense of, like, other audience members were there. But I'm almost 100% sure. Did you see any other friend there? I did not. Usually those friends are, and if you think about it too, all of her friends typically are around her. And the prevailing narrative, not prevailing, well, one of the narratives people are trying to say is like she was trying to run away from all this crowds of people and she was trying to self-protect. And that's why he had to grab her hand and help her. Now, I'm not saying that couldn't potentially happen. I'm saying from the video that I saw, it was not slowed down. It was not sped up. There might be videos out there that were slowed down, sped up. But the one that I saw was just them genuinely walking very chill with each other. They looked quite fine. On top of it, people can take it or leave it. And I understand if some people want to leave it. Is that the ones that were actually there, not people who weren't there, but people who were actually there, both in the theater and outside the theater when it ended, said there were no people chasing them. People were respectful of the fact that they needed to get to this dinner that they were late for. On top of it, that hand holding was existing even in the theater, even before any filming ever happened. Now, again, I understand people will say that's just hearsay, and you're right. Because the thing is, this person who had filmed it, right, apologized for filming it. But the reality is that person also provided like concrete evidence that happened. Because if the filming never happened and people said like, oh, this happened, people are just going to say, well, you're just saying that. There's no proof that happened. So at the end of the day, people are going to have to trust certain things to be true. But the reality is, if it does not match with what you hope it is, you're not going to give that any consideration. When I was talking to this person in DM, one of the, well, not this person, it may be another person I was talking to via DM. I said, I always leave room to be wrong. I always leave room to be wrong. Because the minute I no longer feel like I can be wrong, I can engage in very unhealthy behaviors if I don't leave room to be wrong. Now, do I want to be wrong? 100% I want to be wrong. As a Nicola shipper, I want to be wrong. I want to believe they are just friends. 100% I want to believe. But that would be denying a lot. I would have to be doing a lot of mental gymnastics in my head to make that work. Watching Lady said, we have to wait for tomorrow. If she doesn't go there with him, it will be strange. I don't think it will be strange, Watching Lady. I don't think it will be strange. There's 1,000,001 reasons why she may not bring him tomorrow. But I will tell you this too, Watching Lady. Even if she does bring him, walks hand in hand with him to this red carpet, that will never still be enough for some to believe that they're dating, because it would wreck too much of the hopes and the dreams and all of this stuff. With that said, I also think everything has a time limit. Basically, the song that I wrote, right? I don't think it's a forever thing, but I'm not going to say that I don't think it's a right now thing. It is a very strong possibility. Another thing that I have never spoken about, because I've always tried to respect, like, the fact that people have made assumptions, but I'm gonna, Watching Lady said there is nothing to hide because they were already seen. Well, the same logic could have been given for Antonia. And yes, I am saying her name for the very first time. Well, I don't know if it's the very first time. Maybe it's the second time. But that didn't change the fact that they potentially were always dating, however serious it was or not, which I've never believed it was serious. But that's beside the point. My thing is, bringing, not bringing doesn't change status, because there's 1,000,001 reason why somebody will or will not bring somebody to a stage, right? It could be as simple as not wanting her moment to be overshadowed by yet another man, because Nicola is her own person and she's an independent woman who's been fighting for her place in Hollywood, or maybe not Hollywood, in the industry, in the entertainment industry or whatever. And she's been consistently tied. Luke is not the only co-star she's been tied with. Every single co-star she's been like connected with in the media, because she has such a magnetic she's just has chemistry with everybody she walks with, or talks with or engages with. Everybody assumes that she's dating every single person. And if she was, so what? She's getting a time 100. Can that be the moment? Can it just be the moment that it is for Nicola to have time 100? With that said, I know me being wholeheartedly honest about this situation of how I see it currently, like, some people will mishear that. Some people, Mamacita Flores said everyone ships her with everyone. Very true. I understand there's some people that might want to try to pull my Nicola shipper card and say you can't be a Nicola shipper and think that this other relationship exists. I will counter and say a Nicola shipper is able to endure the reality or the possibility that another relationship exists, because I don't think that is endgame. I don't need to deny something that I'm seeing in order to believe that they can still end up together in the future. Wombat6 said, I just want to know where the heck Luke is. I need to confirm that Sweet Goober isn't married. Oh, well, I'm sure now that people are starting to be afraid if it gets too long, right? Because one of the jokes, not one of the jokes, one of the things that was stated, right, was the BRB situation, right? If somebody says BRB, that's usually not connected to getting married because like you're going to be right back, but he hasn't been back. But I don't think that rumor is true. However, even if that rumor was true, again, it's just something where there has to be a healthy line between knowing like how to root for something, but also be at peace if what you're rooting for does not happen or it's not happening at this moment. You know what I mean? There's a way to still stay faithful to that possibility or that hope without dismissing what is currently happening at the moment. But I will address real quickly something that people I didn't speak about because I think that people I don't think it's ever people's place to discuss this, but I will say I will just say it though, because there's rumblings about it, you know, and it's in regards to Jake's sexuality. I want to be explicitly clear to folks that Jake has never stated what his sexuality is. I think there are people who have made assumptions around it based off of things that they may have seen that has given the impression that people know what his sexuality is. Annie is Chonk said people need to stop talking about sexuality. But I will be talking about it at this moment, Annie, because I need to address this. People do not know what his sexuality is. I think people wanted to cling to that because they felt like it would it would take Nicola off the table. But there are other options available that would not take Nicola off the table. And that is all I want to address with that. Like, there was always other options in regards to his sexuality that acknowledges the things that he was tagged in and still could be in a relationship with Nicola. That's all I'm saying in regards to that. With that said, do I know definitively? Yeah, Shame.Spiral says no one knows anything about anything, and that's the point. Yes. And actually, I was just about to say that, Shame.Spiral. I was just about to say, with that said, this is just my gut, and my gut can be wrong, and I am willing to be wrong. I'm siding on the air of caution right now. Now, to address the other piece of it, why wasn't there the same consideration for Luke? And I think it comes down to, again, I'm going to own this, and it's not going to be a great answer, but it's going to be the most honest answer from me about why I didn't take the relationship he had seriously and still don't. I just never saw it from his side. Like, Nicola put such a strong line, even though my decision was prior to her post. And again, like people said, that post didn't say stop shipping necessarily. That wasn't what that messaging of that. I think that's a decision that most people started to take, but it's not something that was explicitly said. Thank you, Monica11851, for the gift. However, but it still said to me, this is important to me. Now, again, I said this yesterday. There's at least two camps. There's probably more. But one camp was like, she wanted to remove the tags and she wanted to remove all of these things in regards to him because they're not in a relationship and they don't want this narrative to be pushed. And then the other side of it was like, no, she is in a relationship with him and that's why they wanted it gone, because they want to keep it private and she didn't want that aspect of the relationship to be broadcast to the world. Anne said, filming Bridgerton will be interesting. I'd love to be a fly on that wall. I will say this, Anne. I think this has zero effect between her and Luke. This is an issue with the fan base, with each other, and with our own internal conversations. I think that people want to put conflict, and I'm not saying that that's what your comment meant, but sometimes I think people do like to believe there's conflict between Luke and Nicola, and I'm willing to bet, maybe not my life, maybe that's a little too extreme, but I'm willing to bet some money that they're fine. filming Bridgerton will be fine. Um, because the conversation is just a fandom conversation. The Greenberg Brigade said, we can still ship, but what happened isn't shipping. It's invasive. Yeah, there were lines that started getting crossed. Now, I will say this, and again, maybe I will get people mad at me for saying this as well. But I was saddened to have, like, for me, one of my favorite things was looking at Dr. Shaz's stuff, the way she analyzes things. What made me so sad is how people, like, I felt really distorted what she did and made it something horrible. And I was like, she's always been respectful in putting things in like a friends only thing. So it's not anything that like Nicola would have stumbled onto, unless there were people who were in her friends only, who were really not being her friends, and were taking that information outside of the parameters and the context she created, because they wanted to harm Luke and Nicola by making it something bigger than what it was, which was just, she is a very detailed person. She likes detail. She likes to look at those things. Those things didn't have to get all weird and outside of the fandom. There were people that actively chose to do that. And I feel like what she did got distorted heavy. And it made me sad because that is a skill set I really respect, what she could do. And I just felt like it was a misrepresentation of what she did and her heart behind the things that she did. Is it over the top for some people? Sure. Then don't ask to be her friend so you can see it. If you don't actually want to be her friend, to see this the way her mind works. To me, that's deceptive. Like, anybody who was a friend person with Dr. Shaz should have been that. It should have never been taken outside of the parameters that she had. Because she did that for the protection of herself, most likely. I don't know. I'm not Dr. Shaz, so I don't necessarily know why all the reasonings, but I'm just saying that's another aspect that just grieved my heart. Because the way people would talk about people who analyze things in a negative way, of how dare people go and look at this and look at that. It's like, I can understand that can be a bad thing if people don't know parameters, or people don't know, just don't like analyzing things, or people take it too seriously in the sense of like they go way outside the bounds of the reasoning it was looked at. I mean, but that's just a personal feeling for me. But I have to say that. I have to own that. I don't know if that'll make people assume things about me, which I don't really care. But I'm not going to abandon Dr. Shaz just because I feel like some people have really misunderstood the things she was doing. And it's actually frustrated me. It actually frustrated me. To hear like mischaracterizations of it. Because and I mean, and the thing is, does Dr. Shaz and I always agree on certain things? No. But I respect how methodical she is. I respect how she thinks through what she's thinking. She brings her own receipts as to why. I don't have to agree with somebody 100% to be able to give them the benefit of the doubt and to respect what they bring to this fandom. When I said that I really genuinely 100% respect like the different things that different creators bring, I mean it. Because they have a place for a reason. People have to take personal responsibility or accountability for how they choose to then utilize those things. But I get grieved when people misuse something and then credit that person for their misuse of it. Her purpose was never to make it, oh, this is something that Luke and Nicola are going to stumble onto. They shouldn't be. The only way they should have been stumbling onto this is because they were a friend of hers, right? The fact is, there were people who claimed to be quote unquote friends, asked to be friends so that they could take that information out. And that is heartbreaking to me. Ronnie said, I think it's also people using her analysis to fit their narrative. Again, how people choose to then take the things is on them. At the end of the day, there is, on one hand, there is definitely like responsibility. Angela, what are we talking about in here? I'm confused. Angela, I was just talking about Dr. Shaz real quick and my own personal take, and I know that other people have different takes. Oh, she's not deactivating. I know, Kristen. Is she deactivating? I don't think so. I'm saying that I just feel like people misunderstood what she was doing. Because if she's making things for friends only, then just be like really a friend, you know? Watching Lady said, no, she is still with us. The way you wrote that, I'm sorry, maybe I'm thinking of Chad, but like, it was like, yes, she's still with us, you know? Like, yes, she's of the land of the living. Tammy, is she getting backlash? I don't know if she is, but every time I hear anybody talk about analysis, I think of her. So I don't know if other people are thinking of her, but like I do, because she's like the main person I looked at and I respected the way she analyzed, because she came out with all these receipts, and it's very methodical. It is very meticulous. Whether or not people are going to agree 100%, like we don't, like she and I don't agree. Like I know that we don't agree on like what happened at with the walking hand in hand. She and I can still disagree with that and still have respect for each other. There's Stella, there's nothing that happened with Dr. Shaz. I'm just saying I like Dr. Shaz's work. I just want it to be, I just wish it was seen for what it was. Because sometimes I think it just got taken out of context many a times, or put into different contexts where then people could judge it and be like, oh my word, I can't believe how, like, they're just deep diving into these things. And it's like, you know what? That's the hard part of getting into social media, right? It's like, this is all fun and games if you have the right people in the room that have the same understanding of what's happening. But the minute it gets further out, and that's why, again, I think she restricted it to friends only, you know, to try to minimize the misunderstanding of the context of why she was doing what she was doing. Alyssa for Love said, opinions are opinions for reasons because everyone has one. LOL. Yes. With that said, you know, it is, I don't know. It's a hard situation. This whole thing of like, another thing I think that people are misunderstanding is the decisions. Angela said people are always going to find something to be mad at. I agree. I will say though, I do think that sometimes people might be misunderstanding even my decision to step back a little bit, as if it means as if I've like no longer a Nicola shipper, or I'm not going to provide like content that they might like. Still, hopefully I'm still going to be providing content that people like. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still figuring out what that looks like for me. Where I feel like I can sleep at night and I feel at peace. But going back to the thing earlier, which, I mean, this is one of the rare times that I have not spent time reading y'all's chats. So I feel bad because I don't know if anything's cleared already, because I don't know. Because I think it did clear. Tamspin said, if it's not your deal and what you agree with, just move on. Yeah, I mean, you would think that I like that, Tamspin, and yet at the same time, it's like, does it ever really happen that way? And here's the thing. I engage with people where it's like, We may be very different in our thoughts. The only time I literally am just like, so when people disagree in my comment section, even though there's people I block, the people I block are people who come at me immediately with like some derogatory, condescending kind of language, where I'm like, okay, if you are going to come and disagree with me in that tone, then do it with someone else, because it's not going to be here. Versus someone who just like absolutely 100% disagrees with like my way of thinking. Thank you, Poker Kid in One. To me, like a person who disagrees with me, but is still just stating factually what they're thinking, they're keeping an I statement, and they're not like you are this or that, making assumptions about like how I think. That's the thing that bugs the living daylights out of me the most. When people say I'm thinking something, like, no, I'm not. But if I was, I would tell you. But if I'm not, I'm going to also tell you. But don't tell me what I think. If it's, I definitely did not say that in the video, and you're saying I'm saying something I'm not saying. Thank you, Angela, for the gift. K-Girl said, we want you to put out music because they are amazing. Thank you, K-Girl. I'm glad you're enjoying them. So all to say, but is in the internet ripe for misunderstandings? Yes. You know, sometimes people are like, just ignore it. And I hear you. I've ignored it many a times. And also I recognize, and I wholeheartedly, I don't know how long this sassiness will remain in me. I don't know if it all just comes from Chad dying. I don't know. Like, I think that even in my sassiness, I try to be respectful, or as respectful as they came at me. So if there's even a hint of disrespect, maybe it's just me meeting the energy they were giving me in the first place. So, that's just the reality of it. And I think sometimes people get bold when they think, oh, this person will never speak out. Because I've always turned the other way and just said, hey, whatever. But like Ronnie said earlier, sometimes people hit a point where they're like, you know what? So what? I'm just going to say what I need to say. Watching Lady said, I don't know why someone stopped shipping them, or why some stopped shipping them when earlier Luke was in a serious relationship with Jade. I can't speak to that, to be honest, Watching Lady, simply because I was not part of the fandom. So I don't know how shipping looked like back then. I genuinely don't. So maybe other folks who were shipping them at that time can speak to that. That's a little tougher for me too, because he was in a 4-year relationship. I probably would not have been shipping them. Angela said, I love calling people out for shady behavior. And you do it so funny. You're so funny too when you do it, Angela. Ronnie, did you accidentally pin that and then take it away? Because I didn't get to read that. But anyways, yeah. So all to say, I don't know if I should go back and read the old stuff. I think it all disappeared. So I'm going to start reading comments from this point forward because that's all I can do for right now. Oh, you didn't pin anything. Okay. Something came up and then it disappeared like that. So maybe it was somebody else that accidentally pinned it. Lat Diva said, mad respect for Dr. Shaz. Kristen said, yes, she was getting backlash last night. Okay, so she was getting backlash. So that's what I mean. Tamspin says, we're adults and we can make our own decisions on whether we agree or not. Watching Lady, it was me. Sorry. Okay, thank you, Watching Lady. I mean, and honestly, see, that's like, I would love us to get to a place where it's as simple as that. It's like something happens, people apologize. It's like, okay. And I mean, it was not even a big deal though, but like just that ownership, right? It's like, you know, I've had to put out a few apologies before in the past, right? Because you have to take, because I'm not going to be perfect, obviously. There's no doubt about that. So I just have to, if I recognize that I've done something wrong or misspoken, sometimes I take down videos. Like I had a video asking folks around, like, can we have an honest moment about the video? I eventually took that down simply because I think the comment sections was starting to go a direction I didn't really like. But the other piece of it is, it was just a poorly worded video. I think there was a lot of misunderstanding at what I was saying, that I was like, okay, it's not worth re-explaining over and over. I just did a poorly worded video. The Green Bird Brigade says we all make mistakes. We all made mistakes. Yeah. Jazzy21, thank you for the gift. Kristen said called a stalker in other lives. And see, that's the thing, that's tough. That's tough, right? And here's the thing. I've said it a million times. I said it yesterday as well in my live, which is every emotion is valid. It's just the information that informs that informs that emotion that may be incorrect. And that's why sometimes I'm like, can we have definitions? Because think about all the words that are used so flippantly within the fandom, right? And I include myself in that sometimes I might say a word, but I don't sit and think about, like, what am I actually talking about? Things like stalker, or things like PR, or even toxic. It's like, define the words, because sometimes I feel like people have very different definitions of what in the world they're talking about, and people are missing each other. Zigzag _ Elf said, being called out on an incorrect fact isn't our entire selves as being called out. It's about one thing. Just say my bad, correct it, move on. Yeah. I think that's a really important mindset, Zigzag, to understand that actions, like an action, does not define your totality as a person. Just because you make a bad decision doesn't mean you're a bad person. Henceforth, another reason why I put down that video, because the way I phrased it, I realized, okay, that is a lot more, it can feel more accusatory, inflammatory than I meant when I used the terms bad person, bad whatever. So I just pulled that down because I had a particular thought in mind. It was not communicated the way I intended. And I could tell based off the feedback I was receiving. So sometimes I do get put 10 toes down and I stand on what I say. But then other times I listen to the feedback that I receive and I go, it doesn't matter what my intention was if the overwhelming response is giving me the impression that it was not heard the way it was intended. So if it was not heard the way that it was intended, then that's a communication problem on my side and not how they received it. Versus another video where I was literally like asking a question and I was like, I'm not going to take that one back. That was a clear question. And so somebody reading way more extra into what I said, I'm not going to take into and personalize. See the difference? Like, one, I definitely could tell I could see I made an error in the way I communicated. The other one, I was like, the fact that everyone else could answer this question and did not read X, Y, and Z tells me this is you bringing some extra emotions and filters into this statement that I am not making. And I think that's a personal responsibility then on how you choose to receive some words. Sarah Beth says we can grow and change behaviors to protect our community. Absolutely, Sarah Beth, and I love that idea. Ma Q6528 says, does she know that you were talking about her in this live? It seems wrong. I hope she did, because I was defending her. Please tell Dr. Shaz I was talking about her and defending her. I stand on that. Because I can't believe that people would be talking about her in a way that wasn't defending her, but instead portraying her in a way that I think is kind of not necessarily wrong, but incomplete, maybe. So Ma QC6528, yes, please tell her I was saying something. I don't know when you walked in. I don't know if you heard something that you thought was negative about Dr. Shaz, but I do not have anything negative to say about Dr. Shaz. And so just as long as you present what I said properly, I have no problem with you telling her. I own everything I say. Ma Q6528. I'm going to put this on YouTube. So any misrepresentation of what I said people can figure it out because they can watch the whole thing. Sarah Beth says, I'm going to keep making friends and trying to support everyone in the community. I appreciate that, Sarah Beth. Aston A said, Nicola has short legs. She wasn't running. LOL. Glorious underscore girl 56 says, Dr. Shaz was excellent. I agree. Alyssa 4 Love said, opinions. Oh, wait, I read that already. Zigzag underscore L said, random reminder for anyone who needs it. Medication, water, food. Oh, wait, is this for the hurricane that's happening right now? Because please be safe, everyone. Tamspin says, everyone has their talents. Ronnie said, it's individual responsibility, creator, and consumer. Yes. That's another thing. I know I have a responsibility as a creator. However, I will not take any more responsibility than is actually mine. There is a point in time that the consumer has a responsibility themselves. Newtonic said, I just wish we could all get along and support each other. The same Z's Newtonic. And there was a point in time that was our reality. There was a point in time that was our reality. Glorious underscore girl 56. Well said. Annie Ish Shank says she vilified the girl who captured the video, but is hypocritical when she's hyper analyzing photos. Okay. I hear what you're saying there. I would need to talk to her about what she felt like she was saying with the post that she did. So I can feel why you would sense that there might be some sort of hypocrisy. But I think that there are nuances. But I would have to, again, rewatch which video you're talking about. Because the person who did capture that video was in my live yesterday. And I was talking about how much I did appreciate that she took ownership immediately, apologized. I did believe her apology to be authentic. I know that some people didn't want to receive her apology, but I did. Because I do appreciate, it's a hard thing to admit you did something that you didn't mean to be harmful, but ended up being so. In some form or fashion. Whether or not another person may think it's harmful, the person who received it may have felt that way. Though again, maybe we're also adding more things into that assumption than is true also. Because I don't know necessarily, looking back at what Nicola posted, if it meant everything that people were saying it meant. I don't know. Because I hadn't seen it myself live, as people can attest, because it took me like an hour to get to their comments to let me know. Ronnie said, this is why people should pause before they react to something and then have to delete a reaction. Yeah, I mean, pausing is always a good thing. But underscore Brit underscore wait said, weird analogy, but people want to give up sheep to be slaughtered when we are all in the pen. Oh, I kind of like that analogy. I don't know if it's weird. It's kind of deep, to be honest. Monica 11851 said, use critical thinking always. I agree with this. I mean, though I will say that some folks, and this is not a knock on folks. It's just a skill set that people really genuinely needs to cultivate. But some folks didn't get an opportunity to cultivate like critical thinking skills. So and I want people to hear that properly, because I don't want people to take that out of context. I'm just genuinely saying that there are folks that is just like a strength a strength of theirs, and for others they struggle with that a little bit. And so again, I just want people to hear that as intended, not to misrepresent that statement. Nikki said, going back to Luke's adjacent, it's different because A, trolls and plays games, not just with fandom, but with Nicola. I can't really speak on this, Nikki. I mean, I read it out loud. I can't really speak on it because I don't look at anything that she posts. I understand that she posts when they post, because I hear that enough. That's why I ended up writing a song called Attention Starved, which talks about like that pattern of posting when they post. At the same time, the idea of playing games with the fandom and with Nicola, one of the things that people always say is, can we consider a different perspective? Can it, like, if we're looking at something with a specific filter, is there another filter we could use to say, could it mean this as well? Ronnie said, that's still an interpretation on A's behavior. We don't know the girl. Okay, that's kind of what I was trying to get at, and Ronnie was much more succinct about it, which is, we have a driving narrative in our minds about what we think about the individual. And that's going to affect how we view every one of their behavior. And the question is, can there be another option where the worst is not assumed about the person, but the best is assumed about the person? And if the best is assumed about the person, then what other potential interpretation of her actions could there be that doesn't have to be sinister or mischievous or trolling? Not to say that people's assessment is necessarily incorrect. People might be correct, but the fact is we don't know definitively one way or the other. And that really affects how we feel about somebody. Like, if we build up this like enemy in our brain, we're going to be fighting like this person that doesn't potentially exist except in our minds. Ronnie said, that's the critical thinking you mean, Phoebes, that peeps may not have. I mean, and possibly, possibly. But I think, at the end of the day, I don't know. I try my hardest to think the best of people. When I no longer think the best of somebody, like, they had to have done something. Like, it's very, like, because I don't like thinking poorly on someone. I mean, it happens, but I don't like it because I want to give people the same amount of grace as they give me. But sometimes if I see too many red flags of something, if I get there, I get there. Angela said, there are people who come online just to be a hater and find something to criticize. This is true. Geraldine said, people are too emotionally invested in this. Yes, that's probably true as well. Angela said, oh, this is a mic drop statement, because I think there is so much truth to this. There are people who are committed to misunderstanding others. I definitely agree with that. Glorious_girl56 says, we can be fans of Nick and Nicola and Luke without constantly pushing the ship. 100%. 100%. And that's why, I know that when I told folks that I would probably refrain more on that Nicola and not really do anything with it until I see something that's not speculative, but like actual factual stuff. Then of course I'm chomping at the bits to still talk about Nicola. You know what I mean? So, and I'm obviously talking about Nicola in this live. So it's not that I don't want to have those conversations anymore. It's just that I'm probably refraining as much as possible from posting things unless there's something of definitive nature. But_Brit_Wait said, I determine my feeling around someone by learning about them, not just who they're next to. Yeah. Though I will say a lot of the backlash around Luke wasn't about Luke, but about the people around him. So in a lot of ways, he was judged by the people around him rather than himself, because they felt like it was a reflection of him that he kept certain folks around him. But he's also very loyal. Or I assume that he's loyal by his actions. Sarah Beth says, I'm on the end game ship and it's okay to take excursions. Alyssa for Love said, I'm the same way. I don't know if I'm going to put Nicola content, but I will post them separate, and Bridgerton. Tam Spin said, guys, everyone has their own niche. Some are funny and some are great investigators. Yes, I love the funny content. That's like my favorite. I love the funny content. Karen said, I'm just happy to see their future work. Such great actors. Sarah Beth says, I love both Luke and Nick and their choices in their lives. Leanne said, some people only become mad about the vid when Nick posted IG story. Yes. I would agree with that. I think there was a lot of people that did not have a problem with the video until Nicola posted her IG story. However, as someone said, I think in my comment section, right, was that people, and also I think Ronnie said it in this live as well, which is people are allowed to change their mind based off of new information. So people rethought things after she posted what she posted. But I definitely do think that was the motivator for people to change their mind about what they viewed. Lizzie said, did something happen? Not really. not really, Lizzie. Leanne said everyone was rushing to see it beforehand. 100%. Poker Kitten once said, I think we get influenced by what others think. Hate towards A seems so real. Yeah, I mean, that happens, right? Like, if you're in a group that only says this one thing. Now, here, I will own my things in regards to Antonia. Because I had never said her name. This is my third time of saying her name, right? I never called her by her initial. I never called her, I guess somebody said that people called her Lettuce. And I'm like, this actually makes sense now that I would see Lettuce on like my thing. I don't know why that happened either. However, I did call her his adjacent. Now, mind you, I will say when I started using the term adjacent, I didn't mean it just for her. I meant it for 2 other people in his life. And I've used it, but much rarely, for Nicola, for people who are adjacent to her. So it was a catch-all statement. However, I recognize that by refusing to mention her name, that it was a passive-aggressive way of me showing my unhappiness that she was in his life. And so I have to take ownership of that. Like, I said at first I wasn't saying, and this was partly true. I think when I said it, I believed it at that time, which is I didn't say her name because, like, to me, like, we would not be talking about her if she was not connected to him. Like, she would not even be a thought in our minds. With that said, she is connected to him. And so I have to own my own disrespect towards Luke. Because as much as I would like to say I wasn't disrespectful to Luke, I would be a hypocrite because I do think being dismissive towards the people he cares about, however he cares about them, whether it's a real relationship or it was a situationship or whatever it was still a person he actively chose to keep in his proximity or more than his proximity. You know what I mean? So, and even as I'm saying it, I still use distancing language because there's still a part of me that does not like the fact that, you know, so I recognize it even in me trying to own my own ways that of like not giving Luke the respect that I should have given him. And the hypocrisy I have towards how quickly I gave it to Nicola. And in my post when I think Luke, that's like I think I should have owned a little bit of like, I think I thought about it more because when this person made a comment about like, how could you be respecting Luke if like this and this and this? And I was like, I'm sure you're talking about the rest of the fandom, or not the rest of the fandom. Some people in the fandom that did these things. I did not do any of that. But in hindsight, I think about it and I'm like, no, I definitely did other aspects of disrespect simply because I refused to say her name for so long. And so that wasn't fair to her. Even when I used to defend her against people being hateful towards her, I still refused to say her name. So that's what I take ownership of the disrespect I gave Luke. Okay. Sarah Beth says, I think everyone's going to do what's right for them, and I respect everyone and what they choose. Thank you, Sarah Beth. I mean, that's all we can really do. Nikki said, I respect all who took down the vid after Nicola posted. Those who kept it up, those are the fans to worry about. Newtonic says there's a lot of generalizations. Also, not every creator posted that. This is true. I certainly didn't post about it. I mean, I didn't post the video. I did talk about it. I took those down. The discussions I had in regards to the video, I took them down the minute Nicola posted that. I kept up the discussion on the Soho one, simply because like that remained. I think it's probably because it was work related. That wasn't as much of an issue for her. Oh, Sarah Beth, that's nice. I'm not with you only for Nicola. I appreciate that. Zigzag_Elf said the balance was thrown too far in one direction and we lost sight of what the neutral line was. So everyone is doing a big pullback now. Makes sense. Yeah. Sometimes, right, when we find out that we've made an error, sometimes we do an overcorrection, right? Like maybe it gets too extreme the other way. And then people find their way back into the middle, or that neutrality of being able to go, okay, now I think this is okay. I think this is okay, you know? But when things got shifted too far, it's like, okay, you know. Sarah Beth says, I'm here for the friendships. And there have been many friendships made. And that's what I appreciate. Kat said, according to Meg, shipping wasn't that serious. But you had a few bad apples making Jade go private. Yeah. And the hard part is there will always be the more vocal folks that will create situations where people need to protect themselves. So I hear that. Lack Diva said absolutely wouldn't have shipped that, but after the press tour. But_Brit_Wait said, I wish other creators like Phoebe would come and admit their part in consuming/creating. We all have. And you know, but_Brit_Wait, I didn't get to sit in much of Heather's live last night, but I feel like Heather took some ownership as well. And I wish I took a screenshot before Caroline went offline, because I feel like Caroline said something as well, but I can't recall, so I don't want to misquote. But she had tagged me on letting me know that she was getting offline again. But yeah, I didn't take a screenshot of it, so I have no recollection of the exact wording. Kristen said, people don't apologize. They just turn around and accuse others of what they did. LOL. I mean, I feel like I said that just a few minutes ago, I feel like I did that. I did some distance in language around Luke in one of my posts where it's like, oh, like, I really feel bad. Like Luke got like treated badly. I had to look at myself after I got one of the comments that just made me think about myself a little bit more and going, yeah, maybe I was thinking to myself, I wasn't as bad as this or that because I didn't do this or that. I would never do that or this. But then I'm like, but I did do this and I did that. Like, that may not have been as bad in my brain, but it still wasn't like actually kind. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes you got to be honest with yourself, and it's hard because you want to you want to feel like you're always being kind. Well, I mean, at least I do. I wish I was always being kind, but and not to say that kindness is always like there is a time for sassiness. I mean, I do think there is a time for sassiness, but like, yeah, so I guess my hands were not as clean as I wish, or as I would like to have believed myself to be at the moment that I made some videos. And sometimes you just gotta come to grips with your own, like, hypocrisy. Angela said, we can believe whatever we choose to believe. We just can't act in a way that's harmful to others. I agree. Hi, Jess. But_Brit_Wait said, instead of throwing others in the fandom under the bus, creators need to just own their own mistakes. Yes. I mean, I and hopefully, like, I mean, I can do a whole confessional with y'all, y'all, as I come up with things that I'm like, I think everybody looks back and like, man, I mean, I think this about with Chad, with my friend who passed away. You know, after a certain death, you just replay back things and think about like, oh, if we did this differently, if we did that differently, if could things have been different? Could it have ended up differently? And so there's a little bit of a death in the fandom in a way, right? Like of what it used to be. And now we're trying to recreate ourselves as a fandom. We're trying to pick ourselves back up and think like, what kind of fandom do we want to be? Because it became so far removed from what it originally started. And how did that happen? And like, what part did I play in that? You know, and what, and not necessarily all the negative stuff. I know I played a part in good ways as well, right? But like, it has to be the totality of it, the good and the bad, you know? And I don't even know if good and bad are the right words for it, more than like things that were helpful versus things that were more harmful. Rocio said, I'm terrified. I'm not ready for Wednesday to arrive. I'm really actually excited for Wednesday. I'm excited to see what her outfit is. I'm excited to like just celebrate Nicola and her work. But I can understand if there's other things that's terrifying you about that day. Felker L said, I see these groups as a bunch of fangirls gossiping about their favorite show and actors. That's it. Angela said, I thank you for defending her. I think her heart is in the right place. I mean, if you're talking about Dr. Shaz, when I was talking about Dr. Shaz, absolutely. I 100% believe that her heart is in the right place. That's why it broke my heart when I feel like it's like a misrepresentation of what she was doing. Karen said, I'm happily excited to see Luke and Nick's next work. Such great actors. Empress says, if you've asked to be added to a friend-only group, keep it in the group if you're added. Yeah, I think that's the most respectful thing to do. It is mind-boggling to me to take it further out. Because the reason a person's making it friend-only is for that very purpose. And people can be like, well, you know, you should know this is the internet. Nobody's going to, you know, necessarily do the right thing. I hear you, and yet it's still disappointing. Oh, okay. Zigzag_Alpha Phoebe. No, nothing to do with the hurricane. Oh, okay. Well, what did it have to do with? Newtonic said, take me back. Oh, I missed the joke. You're right, Ronnie. I did miss the joke. What was the joke? Poker Kitten once said, creator being creator, feeling toxic. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's, I don't know. It's just sad. I mean, and I always think like, as much as possible, though, if there's any friction that just stays between people, you know, because then if there's friction between people, sort it out, and then because like it's kind of like breaking up with someone and then getting back together. It's like when you break up with someone, like make sure it's like really like you've done all you can, because then if you said a bunch of stuff, then you have to go back and tell everybody again that it's different and whatever. But like people can't go back to a time where they didn't hear you say all this negative stuff about this person or whatever, right? So it's like, as much as possible, like the only people that should know there's friction is the creators themselves. Like, because then there's more chances that it can get worked out. And also because it doesn't put the fandom in the middle where people feel like they need to choose. That's one of the things that I've always said over and over, is that I would never want people to feel like they had to choose. Like I had said in the past, like if there's anyone that ended up verbalizing that they despise me as a creator or they hate me and they're also a creator. Like, I would never want someone to feel like, oh, I have to choose like one or the other. Like, you can still follow both. I mean, like, people's beef with each other shouldn't be the beef of the fandom. But yet sometimes people feel like they have to choose. And that's why I never want to put people in that position. Hopefully I don't. I mean, sometimes I it's very sweet when people say they will defend me or they'll stand up for me and all that stuff, which I appreciate. I really do. But I also want people to protect themselves because it can get whirly out there. And it's like, I know I'm not going to be liked 100% by people. If you're liked 100% by people, I don't know anyone who's been liked 100% by people. It's just impossible. And whenever you're actually making any of your thoughts known, you're not going to be liked 100%. That's just the reality. Because somebody's going to disagree with you. And if they don't know how to disagree with you without making you a villain in their mind, you're going to be disliked. But if a person is able to disagree with you and not make you a villain in their mind, then they still can like you. And I've had so many conversations with people that I wholeheartedly disagree with, but I still like them. And I think they like me because we can still engage with each other. And it's like, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm usually just saying what I'm thinking. And if that influences them to think differently, great. Because when people have disagreed with me, sometimes they've said something that I'm like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. And sometimes it does influence me to think differently. Zigzag_elf said, truly just a random reminder for anyone getting so caught up in things or who struggle with executive dysfunction and interoception. Meds, water, food. Okay, I don't know if I still got it. But Newtonic says, thanks for the reminder. Just hydrated. Jess said, this is becoming very toxic. I feel like the ship is supposed to be fun. I miss those days, Jess. I miss those days. Quilter Jane said 2 different things, not hypocrisy. Oh, I wish I knew the context of what you were talking about, Quilter Jane. So behind on, as usual, behind on chat. So hopefully, if you're still in the space and you can give me the context again, hopefully one of the mods can pin it. Let's see. Ida Pita said, I also believe her apology. Like, come on, people, don't be hypocrites. We're in a Nicola live. Love_Nicola said, I have screenshot from some of her comments in your live. She didn't sound sorry then. I don't know. I mean, you can email that to me at boccegohawks@gmail.com, love_Nicola. But I guess I need to understand what you mean that she didn't sound sorry. Glorious_girl56 said, sorry to be a cynic, but how do we know that the person on the live was really the clip maker? Because it matched what the person who took ownership. And honestly, you never want to do that typically in this fandom because people will just make you a villain. And so it was a big risk for her to even attach her name to this whole conversation. And some people assumed like that she had wanted to be famous or something, or like wanting to use it or whatever. And I'm like, that's not the way people want to come into this fandom for sure. Nobody wants that. At least, well, I shouldn't say that. I guess there are some people, but I don't think that was the case with her. But again, if there's something that you're feeling, feel free to maybe DM me or or send me a message. Thank you, Monica, for the gift. Tamspin said, if you don't like their content, don't go to their page and then take it to your life and bash them. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I have found that sometimes other people's content is people's content, is what I found. K-Girl said, whose comment was needed to be pinned? Oh, now I already forgot. It started with a Q. It started with a Q, but I can't remember now off the top of my head. I have such a short memory sometimes, but yeah, I have found that out to be the case, which again kind of makes sense. We all kind of like feed off of the same content source, I guess. But yeah, I have heard that this happens. That people take things from a live, another person's lives, and then bring it into their own lives just to bash them. Which is, again, I suppose they're right, but also like, you know, I guess, I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. I will always say that I will always own the things I say. So if I say something that I need to apologize for, I will. None of the, no creator should ever worry that I am speaking of them in an ill way. If I'm bringing up a creator's name, it is because it is something positive. I'm never gonna, if I have a beef or if there's anything, like, I'm not gonna talk about them. You know what I mean? But also, let me make this clear. Even if I'm not talking about somebody, doesn't mean I have a beef with them, okay? It just means that I might not have anything to say. But just to say, like, there is just, if I'm uttering somebody's name, it's because I'm saying something positive about them. If I say something and somebody thinks I'm talking about a creator, the chances are very high that it is not the case. Because sometimes this fandom is so huge that things are happening and people think that somebody knows that something's happening over in what corner, in the other corner. No, we don't. At least, I should only speak for myself. No, I don't. So if something I say matches something that's happening in some other thing, well, actually, let me own something. I actually realized there was one time. Oh, okay. There was a time I stumbled onto somebody's live. I made a story, and that creator reached out to me, and then I did an apology video. But see, that's what I mean, though. Like, I really take ownership fairly immediately when somebody makes it known to me. You know what I mean? So if any creator hears word from somebody that, oh, she's saying something negative about you, I'm going to say to that creator, really, one, I will give you the video to say that is not the case. But two, like, I always worry about people who want to get in everybody's ears to make people dislike each other. And I side eye people who actively try to bring drama and dissension in a group. You know what I mean? Poker Kitten once said, I think we also dislike A because some influencers really push that. I mean, possibly. Personally, I do think that she made choices that I didn't personally like. That's why I ended up, like, blocking her on TikTok and Instagram, because I didn't like what she was doing personally. Because when Luke would post something, she and the other, and I will say adjacents, because and not to be in a dismissive way, but just a catch-all statement, because I'm talking about 3 people. They would post things to bring extra context that Luke wasn't trying to give the fan base. And so I didn't like that. And so it's like, knowing her content made me sadder, and I wasn't trying to be sad. So I just didn't want to see her stuff. And my life became better afterwards, to be honest. And that's not a knock on her. That's just saying what I need for my own mental health is different than what she was offering. Newtonic said, I mean, if I felt like I was bullied, I may also clap back. Oh, 100% for me. I've gotten to that place where I have clapped back. Poker Kitten 1 said, and we have to think on our own. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, like, we have to take ownership of our own stuff. Zigzag_elf said, I know that I hate being misinterpreted and misjudged, so let's just put ourselves in their shoes. Absolutely. Collie said, not everyone's world revolves around Nick, and I think people interpret A's actions as if hers does. Yeah. I think sometimes there's always this constant, everybody, if we're in a bubble, right, where the only content that we have revolves around certain conversations, of course we're going to read, I shouldn't say of course, but choices are made to read into everything that may or may not be there at all. Again, it may be there, but it may not be there. And we got to leave space and room to consider that it might not be there at all, whatever we're thinking it might be. Lactive Diva said, it's the same with Luke. We only know what we see and have access to, and that's also applicable to A. Absolutely. But_Brit_wait said, I determine my feelings around someone by... Okay, I read that actually already. Okay, Zigzag_elf says, I'm off to curl up with my book. Love and deep breaths to you all. Hope you enjoy that book, Zigzag. I mean, obviously you're probably long gone. Black Cat Meowie. We know N and L as actors, not how they live their day-to-day lives. Correct. The Greenberg Brigade said mob mentality, yes, is very real. And that's another reason why I've said to folks in the past that I like when there was drama happening, and I don't know if there's still drama happening in the other platform in regards to me as a person as well as a content creator. But I had said to folks, like, as much as I appreciate like people's desire to defend me, the thing that I was worried about was that it was going to feel like I don't want to ever like endorse any mob mentality. Like, somebody needs to only be corrected once, and I mean, maybe not just once, but like the only correction people usually are open to is, well, that's not true, because I'm open to correction by strangers, but that's because that's an active choice of mine. But the majority of folks are not necessarily going to be okay with that. So I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I appreciate when people want to do that, but I also just want them to not get in the middle of certain things and then they get attacked. Like, I don't want people being attacked for trying to defend me on a situation where the folks that are attacking me may not ever be open to hearing their perspective anyway, you know? So, because sometimes if people are determined to dislike you, nothing you do will change their mind. Sandra said, Nick's post gave us all pause to look at ourselves and own our own ways of shipping. 100%. Glorious_girl56 says, love Nick, but she's not a saint, just human. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's important to not put her on a pedestal, because that's a long way down. Ronnie said, I never talked about her or his friends because I find them irrelevant to the conversation. I mean, yes. And for me, I feel like it always like ended up overtaking so much of the lives. That's why for a really long time I did put a kibosh and I said I don't want adjacent talk, simply because either the chats got like unkind or just too centered on them, and I was like, can we just enjoy Luke and Nicola? The Greenberg Brigade said, we don't have to agree with their decisions, but we should respect them. But _Brit_wait said, love how introspective and honest about your actions you are without scolding others. Thanks. Thank you for that. I mean, I try. Sometimes I fail. So I'm glad I was successful this time. Thank you. Exodus says huge respect for this. Oh, thanks. Was it about Luke owning my part of it? Angela said, but part of not using their real names is still allowing them anonymity since they are not confirmed. Um, that might be a reason for others. I will tell you that was not the reason why I wasn't saying her name. So I have to just take ownership for why I wasn't saying her name. And it wasn't because I was protecting her. It was because I was protecting myself from having to hear it. Karina03 said, has something new come out about Luke and A? No. Not that I know of at all. Kali said, calling her lettuce is dehumanizing, which makes it easier for people to talk about her in an awful way. I genuinely didn't. I had a feeling that it had to do with her when it started showing up on stuff, but I had no idea what it meant. Pickle said, I just want them to put us out of our misery. We love them, whoever they choose. Angela said, I kept it up but made it friends only, to be honest. Everyone had already seen it. Poker Kitten once said, this group is more chill. Some of the other groups so intense, and I feel like a group mindset comes. I'm glad you feel that way, Poker Kitten. I hope that, we create a space where it feels that way, where people feel like they can chill with us. Marwood33 said, hey, happy Tuesday. Hey. Okay, Ronnie, see you later. Not that you're here anymore, because I'm... But_Brit_Wait said, A was reduced to Luke's girlfriend, but how Jay is being reduced to being Nick's boyfriend. They're their own people. The hard part about that, I hear that because they're more than that. Unfortunately, because that is their introduction to this fan base, that is how they'll be seen until they have a name for themselves. You know what I mean? And I think Jake is more likely to make a name for himself because he's involved in a lot of like he's in acting. And maybe Antonia will make a name for herself as a dancer. But at this point, I think that's why it got reduced to that. Because we would not be talking about them either way. We wouldn't be talking about them if that was not how they were introduced into this fandom. But they are their own person. Ga_Ga_Ga said, I feel like there's some overcorrection going on this week though. Probably Ga_Ga_Ga. Yeah, there probably is overcorrection. And that will happen until people, including myself, feel like we know what the correct correction is. So sometimes people get overcorrection in a desire to do the right thing. Good morning, 4K and K. Exodus said, Heather said a lot of things that needed to be said and she took accountability for her part. That's good. And that's what I think I heard when I was in her live. I didn't get to sit and see it all. 4K and K said, right now Luke is getting the love as he should always. Valencia said, I was definitely more critical of Luke. I don't know who I thought I was. Isabella said, I think Luke got the worst part of all of this. Yeah. And I think there's multiple layers as to why that is. And not to justify it, but just to understand it. I think there's multiple levels as to why he got the brunt of it. He never deserved it. Charlie, there's this comment, but I'm not going to read it only because I can't understand the context. But maybe I'll ask you in DM later because I'm not sure what it meant. The Green Bird Brigade said no one is always kind. This is true. I don't know if it's human to be like always, but I think we try as the best as we can. 4KNK said, I think the truth is we don't know these people. We make assumptions based on what we see. Ida Pita said, I really appreciate that, Phoebe, the self-reflection. We all need that. Not just about this. just in life in general. Yeah, I agree. There's something about losing somebody too that just makes you think about a lot of things, you know. Glorious underscore girl 56 said LNA got striff STRIFF stuff. This. Wait, no, what? My word, why am I the worst at figuring out what people mean? But LNA got STRIFF due to seeming taking away from the bridge prem. Then it kicked off. Oh yeah. Oh, I think I know what you're saying. But yeah, I think though, like what happened in the premiere, it was horrible. But like there was like no forgiveness offered after. I mean, like not that he asked for forgiveness, but like it was just like nothing he could do was ever right. And I still stand 10 toes down that I don't believe that was even what Luke had wanted to happen that night. Not based on his face, not based on his body language. I had a hard time believing that was his desire. I can 100% be wrong, but I just stand 10 toes down on that. Exodus says, I hope we can all reunite under Team Pollen and just love and support Luke and Nick as individuals. Bombshell Baby 22 said, done with the drama. Rose said, will it be televised? The Time 100, I believe, according to K-Girl's post, it was like at ABC and Hulu. Angela said, I was just here to be silly and joke around, but things got wild. 100%. Yvonne said, I think people lost sight of Luke and Nicola being individuals and not what they wanted them to be, which was a couple. Exodus says, I'll admit I've been annoyed and upset with some creators, but I don't think anyone had malicious intent. Yeah, very rarely would I ever think, like, people really are just coming at it with their own perspective, genuinely. I've just not come across a creator that I felt like had like malicious intent. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't something, maybe there is. It's just the ones that I've come across, we may think differently about some stuff, but like, I still very much respect them and the way they choose to use their platform. And plus, it's just hard to be a creator in general, because you just open yourself up to a lot of things that can both be positive and negative. Farallon Lady said, I agree, it is disappointing. Lolly K said, in a world where we can be anything, please just be kind. Nikki said, we still have Luke and Nick filming to look forward to. Absolutely. Very exciting. Imagine our energy of a Pollen spoiler pick. I would love that. Exodus says, and I've made plenty of mistakes myself in this fandom. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that. Yeah. Like, that's all we can do. Take ownership of our stuff. You know, it doesn't change the past. It just changes the future. C said the PR misguide us in a sense, and we never stand a chance to understand what was in front of us. Poker Kitten once said, you're the Gandhi of creators. That's so funny. Thanks, Poker Kitten 1. Empress said, I follow a few creators, but don't go into every one of their lives. User with a lot of numbers behind it said, that's what happened yesterday. Drama we didn't need to know. Blanca, oh no, not Blanca. Bianca said, Phoebe, you've always been respectful. Certain creators are trying to run people off who don't agree. And if that is happening, I will say this. They most likely in their mind thinking they're doing the right thing. Usually when that's happening, somebody's either like thinking that somebody did something wrong and they're trying to protect the fandom or whatnot. Rarely do I ever think like they're doing that just to do that. You know what I mean? I don't. But then again, maybe that is just the Pollyanna in me. Maybe it's just the Pollyanna in me. I mean, that's probably my Pollyanna. I gotta leave space for just the fact that maybe something like that is happening. You know what I mean? I know. Sometimes I have to remind myself that I have to be okay with like things not being like a pretty bow, that things being more complicated and full of nuance instead of being like everything being happy and shiny and all that stuff. So I have to leave space for what you said without trying to like be like, no, maybe it's this or that, because maybe you're just right. You know, I don't know. Because I shouldn't even say anything because like I don't know you know what you're referring to, because again, I do not know. I very rarely get to go into any lives. So there's a handful of folks that I get to go into their lives. So I'm so unaware sometimes, unless people give me like the 411 on something, and then I'm like, dang, all of that drama is happening? I didn't even know. Bombshell Baby 22 said, always evolving. Bianca said, this is a public platform that should value all opinions, not just their own. I mean, I think we're richer for it when we do. Lydia T says, thanks, Phoebe. You're saying the right things without disrespecting anyone. Thank you, Lydia. I hope so. I never want to disrespect anyone. Let me think about that statement too. Because I have been sassy in some of my posts. So I feel like I'm like, is that disrespectful? Or if I feel like, I don't know if I'm justifying it when I'm just like, I'm meeting their level of sassiness with me. I don't know. I'll think about it. All I will say is I don't regret any of the sassy ones that I have done. I will say that. H. Manley said, I just listened to Busy Bee, her commentary from yesterday. I'm very chill and calm. Okay, I don't know who Busy Bee is. Bianca said, certain creators are making it toxic if you don't align with them. Oh, sad. Marjorie said, why argue on a topic no one knows the real facts? It's okay to disagree. I feel people make it personal. And I think aside from making it personal, I think sometimes if people get very committed to a particular perspective and doesn't fully make space to be wrong, it can be very hard to change. Like, because it's so hard, you know, it's like, I'll give you an example. One time I had an argument with my mom. And halfway through the argument, I realized I was wrong. And at one point she said to me, you know you're wrong. And I said, I do, but I've done this for too long to give up now, right? Because I was young and that was just kind of like wanting to like stand my ground, even though I realized halfway through that I was in the wrong. You know, sometimes you just got to suck up your pride and be like, I guess I was wrong. You know, sometimes that's not the worst thing, to realize that you got prideful about how you saw things, and then just be like, okay, maybe I was so committed to this that I didn't give space to the possibility that I could be wrong, because I didn't, you know, it's so much harder. I mean, people respect it a lot more in the end, but it's such a hard thing to do sometimes, to just be able to admit that it was just my bad. Poker Kitten once said, I think Luke and Nick just need to get married and make us all happy. I'll send them a reminder. Caro said, I fear Nicola shippers won't see Paul in the same next season after the PR tour and ups and downs of summer. Yeah, it will be really interesting. I think they'll be there. But how much, I have no idea. So there's a possibility what you're saying is probably, or could be correct. Sarah Beth says, I think sometimes a creator has to get something uncomfortable off their chest, but take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, for sure. Lady Cherie said, why can't people post Nicola content? We did it when A was the rumor dating Luke. Oh, Lady Cherie, I think you probably missed the beginning of this live. And so I will be putting it up on YouTube, so you can kind of hear my answer around that. Rena, what are we talking about today? I feel like causing trouble. You know what? You're the best. We were just talking about navigating the new landscape of the fandom, I suppose. I don't know if that's a great synopsis of what we've been talking about, but that's what I'm just going to go with. But Lady Cherie, first and foremost, people can. People can absolutely 100% post Nicola content. Anyone who wants to post Nicola content 100% can. Now, if you're asking why certain content creators are choosing to not do so, every person's answer will be different. My particular answer is, I had a longer answer and my bandwidth is a little less now as I've gotten further along in this live. So I would say if you're interested in the longer answer, once I upload this upload this lives on YouTube at some point, you can hear it there. But my short answer really is it's what I feel comfortable with at this point. And it might be an overcorrection. And I agree with people who says there's been an overcorrection. Probably the case. So as people feel more comfortable to find what the right place is, you might see less people posting things. But it's not because people can't. People can. But people are choosing not to. Which I do think is a difference. Because there's nobody requiring us. I don't think Nicola, in her post, when she says normalize not filming strangers, or whatever that said, was saying necessarily definitively saying stop shipping, stop doing Nicola content. However, for some of us, that's how it lands. Or at least other aspects is how it lands. And we have to do what our own personal conscience is fine with at this moment. Now that may change. It may change again. You may see us moving back into posting some stuff or whatever, or you may never see it again. You know what I mean? I don't know, but it's not because no one can. So if people are out there wanting to put Nicola content, there's not like a ban. Nobody's banning anybody. It's just people are making that personal choice. Sarah Beth says, I'm trying to come with a placement of not jumping to conclusion and just hear someone's feelings. That's a great place to do. That's a great thing to do, Sarah Beth. I appreciate that. MaQ6528 says, why are we beating this like a dead fish? Beating what? MaQ6528. I will say this. My question is, why do you remain in this live if you feel like it's something that is not benefiting you, that the conversation is not beneficial to you? Now, is it because you're still curious about what the conversation is? Because it is what the conversation is. So if you feel uncomfortable, if you don't feel like it is for you, I wholeheartedly support your decision to not continue to endure it, is my suggestion. K-Girl said, are there any other mods in here that can pin comments? I think Watching Lady, unless Watching Lady's left. Shame.Spiral said it happened last night. Lynn says, I'm so impressed with Nicola for everything, but putting out a post that made us reassess. Lady Cherie said, until Nicola or Luke claim to be in a serious relationship, we can still ship them. Lady Cherie, again, I am a Nicola shipper. My choice to not try to do post about it is just a personal choice. Again, nobody's telling people that they need, let me clarify. I'm not telling anybody that they can't ship anybody. If there's other people that are saying that, that's not me. People can ship who they want to ship. If people feel fine, I feel fine shipping them still. I'm just not doing post on it. I'm having DM conversations. I'm having all these other things. I'm having this live to have this discussion with folks. I feel at peace with that. I'm just not doing posts. because posts are very stagnant. But nobody should, well, I don't want to use the word should. Everybody has the right to make their own decision. If you want to ship them, you can ship them. Nobody is going to stop you from that. Or at least, hopefully they're not. I mean, and even if they try to, like, you feel what you feel. You feel what you feel. That doesn't stop just because someone wants you to stop. So, ship away. Not that you're needing my permission to do it. Because if you're shipping, you're shipping. Sarah Beth says, I'm not happy about it either. Melly maybe said, I don't understand why people have to bring drama. Bianca says, well, actually, let me read if this. Tamspin said, regarding to you only talking positively about other creators, you're amazing. Thank you, Tamspin. I try. I mean, that's why I thought about that one video that I did that I had to do an apology for. Now, mind you, I was not actually talking about the creator, but somebody that was on their live. But either way, it was still not the right way I handled it, because it really should have been a DM conversation. That was the right way to handle it. The way she handled it with me was the right way to handle it. I mishandled it because I let my emotions get away with me. GHOSY said, Nicola and Luke are PR genius. They knew people were shipping them prior the PR tour and went with it. Sarah Beth said, I still think for myself and not unfollow people who are being mentioned since I do not agree. Glorious _ girl 56 said, the shame is without that clip. We would all be looking forward to times 100 and Bridge filming. I feel like, I'm not sure if you mentioned this yesterday as well, Glorious _ girl 56 in the live, but I do agree with that. It did take, unfortunately, away. And at the same time, I'm like, that's also a choice. Like, I could just make this whole live just talking about times 100 or time 100. However, I feel like that would be dismissing the fact that people actually are feeling like deep feelings right now. And part of these lives are to create spaces for folks to kind of process how they're feeling about things. Sarah Beth says, I think we are all able to consume content we like, and no one should judge us on who we like. Rin042691 said, hi, what's happening? Just talking about navigating the fandom, I guess. And Phillips says, hey, yo, how long y'all been in here? And Phillips, I don't know how long you've been waiting for me to read your comment, but I've been here a while. I've been a while. I don't know how long I've been here a while, but I've been here a while. Jenny ZZZY said a lot of this could have been if NNL said not in a relationship with each other. Tammy said, with what has happened, I feel like we may not get any posts from Ellen and for quite some time. 2.5 hours. Thanks, Kager. How do you see that? How do you know? Oh, because you were here right when it started? Because I'm like, how do you know? Isabella said, hello, lunchtime. Oh, yay. Hopefully you're having a good lunch, Isabella. Shame.spiral said, no one's involved with anyone unless they say they are. M.Phillips says, I guess I'm confused because my critiques of Luke still very much stand given new info. So I'm curious what have changed for others. It's hard to answer this, M. Phillips, because I don't know what your critiques were. And I don't know if the statements I'm making about Luke is about what Luke has done or not done. I mean, people could have their critiques. I'm just saying, I don't know where you came in, but I think I'm just owning, like, how my own actions at times were not as respectful to him as it could have been. But I don't know if that's where this conversation, what generated this comment. Maybe it wasn't even that. That's what happens when I'm so behind. Marjorie said L timing was off. That is why he got it bad. People were still floating from the world tour. Glorious underscore girl 56 says, I think N may get a bumpy ride. Hopefully not. Susanna said, we're going to go through a Nick drought and I'm pretty sad for this fact. Well, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be saying like, oh, we don't know that, but because, I mean, maybe you're right. I don't know though. Glorious underscore girl 56 said, strife, Aussie word for trouble. Oh, strife. Okay. Because I think the way it was spelled up above was like STIFF, so I didn't know what it was. K-Girl said, been here from the beginning. You are almost at 3 hours. It's just like yesterday. Lizzie said, what time 100 awards? Time Magazine, Lizzie. Megan said, calm down, people. We will see Nick on Wednesday. She will be photographed at the Time 100 event. Super excited to see what outfit she'll be rocking. Megan said, be patient. Time will reveal what is going on. Trust in what Nick and Luke put out there. Jennifer said, I for sure have I for sure have. There's a couple that just give mean girl vibes. Isabella said, yes, I think you are honest, straightforward, and impartial. I love it here. Thanks, Isabella. I do think I am. There are parts of me that are partial, though. I will own that. I try to be as impartial as possible, but my biases can still show up. Coco said, what did I miss? I don't know. A lot, I guess. Pollen Season said, people saying I don't feel sorry for filming the videos don't know me. I haven't slept in 2 days. I haven't even gone to work in 2 days either. I cried so hard my roommate had to take my phone from me. I can only imagine Pollen Season. It can be tough in the fandom. You know, I think you did all you could do, which is to apologize and try to move on. With the recognition that sometimes, even with taking ownership of it, some people will not accept it. But you gotta, sometimes it's like, when that happens, you have to be able to like almost make sure you just forgive yourself and just like, you know, move on. And some people might even think that's dramatic, right? Some people might be like, you don't even need to apologize. Some people are like, you probably would have done something that other people would have done, kind of thing. But at the same time, like, you understood. Because I feel like your heart was breaking because you understood like it hurt Nicola and you didn't want to do that. That was not your intention. So all I can say is it sucks. And there are people that you'll never convince that you're sorry. And as long as you know you are, you can be at peace with it because you can never please people 100%. There's going to be people that are going to just like feel like what they feel and nothing will budge them. So, you know, but I hope that you get to rest. I hope you get to sleep. I hope it doesn't continue to hound you because that's hard if it does. I don't want it to affect your health. Glorious underscore girl 56. The fandom was inspired by what was on the tour. So all sides are accountable for what we thought. Dog Mom said Busy Bee is one of the good tarot readers. Oh, gotcha. Now, I probably have been sent some stuff. Veronica said Phoebe's wisdom was the first and present reason I follow her. Oh, thanks. I mean, I think I'm reading that right. Are you saying? Oh, hopefully I read that right. Thank you, Veronica. Jillfin77 said, this fandom has a you can't sit with us vibe lately. I don't like it. Us versus them kind of thing. Oh. Yeah, and we were so united at one point. I feel bad about that. I'm hopefully folks from different, I guess, tables feel like we can all share a table here, metaphorically, hopefully. Phoebe, if all your regular mods aren't here for your lives, I could fill in. Okay, actually, hold on. Let's see here. Okay. K-Girl's like, I'm here. I appreciate that, K-Girl. You are committed. I thank you. I appreciate that, really, genuinely. Because I know it's been, I guess, over 3 hours, if you said. And Fonticiela said, I think it's all the negativity and crossing the line with the sleuthing that has become untenable. Megan said he wasn't a fan that went out of the way to find her. She was in the background for a few seconds. Aaron said, so what will your page be about then? Well, Luke and Nicola. And Paul and possibly, probably some Bridgerton. Obviously, I don't know if I'm not going to try to mix Outlander and Dawson's Creek. I have Outlander and Dawson's Creek stuff, obviously, in my YouTube when I do lives on them. But I just kind of don't like mixing. Like, I want people to know what they're getting when they come to my page. So it's still going to be very Luke and Nicola centric. And I'm not saying that there will never be a Nicola content there at all, because I think that's going to be nearly impossible, especially like if there's breaking news. I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to put it. No, it's like I'm just waiting for the right time to figure out like what, what it needs to be. But if people actually care about like Luke and Nicola, like as actors, as people, not as a desired couple, then I think they would still enjoy what I hopefully offer them on the page. Like, there'll be times 100 stuff or, any Bridgerton news that comes out about them. Things like that. Ann Phillips says, no longer posting Nicola content does feel like an overcorrection to me, but I support your choice. Thank you, Ann Phillips. And I'll find my way to like being the right correction. You know what I mean? I think whenever like people feel like a course was taken that wasn't like the best, overcorrections tend to happen. Show Me says, I've been here before lunchtime. Ma 6, no one is perfect, but Luke has always come across to me as a gentle, caring person. Coco said, do you think we will see Luke supporting her tomorrow at the Time 100 event? I don't know if we will see him. I do think he will be supporting her, but I don't know if we will see him. Oh, Lizzie said, I meant what time did the award start? Okay, people were asking about that. Did K-Girl, did you respond to what time 100 starts? Because I don't know. Tammy said, does anyone know if this Time 100 is a celebration of several people and what they accomplished? I've never watched it myself in the past, but I would believe that was the case. Isabella said, LOL, mostly impartial. Love_Lucula said, I listened at home all round 2 supermarkets back home and unpacked. Ab said, I feel the Lucula magic is lost after Nick's story and no longer feel excited in finding Nick content. K-Girl said 7, I believe. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I hear that. Again, it might just be like a reassessment of was there extra meaning attached to what Nicola said in that post that's causing the overcorrection on my part. You know what I mean? But though I will say that my overcorrection does not stem from her post. My overcorrection stemmed from that video and what I saw. Because it was the first time I'd ever seen them just be the two of them. And show mutual physical touch. Isabella said, I will see you later. Going back to work. Enjoy. Glorious underscore girl 56 said, with NNL, we thought we saw magic. That's the fandom. Yeah, I mean, it's the friends we make along the way, right? Kim said, I love Nicola. That's why I started shipping in the first place. Av said, I think it's just how public her telling off is and picking on that video. I'm just worry? Is that how you say it, of Nick? I think that's why there's value in maybe Nicola explaining what it meant. Because I think we all made assumptions of what it meant. That may or may be incorrect, but it made sense that we made the assessment that we did or assumptions that we did because that was the video that was trending. But it was, I guess it is that question of like, is that what's happening? What did Nicola actually want? And because at the most basic level, we understand that she wasn't for the filming. And other people said also included the real-time posting. But we also know that she has been, not that she has been fine with other things, but she hasn't addressed other things before. So I don't know. I don't know if Nicola will come out with a little bit more of a clarification. But yeah, I wouldn't say that Nicola's post in and of itself is the cause of what people deem as overcorrection. I think it maybe was the catalyst, seemingly the catalyst, but like a drastic change like this doesn't happen unless there's been, well, actually I shouldn't say that because I don't know that for sure. But yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, Av. Mosik says they are 100%. They 100% are magic. Only time will tell if they decide to have a romantic relationship. Velcro once had a meeting. What did I miss? Thank you, Dowsy49, for the gifts. I think it's probably more of the same. Same answer to you, LJ, FIDDES, when you said I've been out for a while. What have I missed? I mean, kind of more of the same. I've just been going through people's chats. Bev says, does anyone know when Nick starts filming Bridgerton again? I do not. If anybody knows, feel free to let us know. Pollen Season said, I take long trains rides. I had the book in my bag because I'm reading it. Bev said, I'm guessing you said you meant Google. It says Giggle It. Okay, I see you said, sorry, Google. Yeah, Google it. There's a whole list of people for the Time 100. Pollen Season said, I'm going to stop commenting about this further because, like you said, I will never convince everyone. I mean, it's a true statement, Pollen Season. Like, you all you can do is say your piece, and people will decide whether they will accept it or not, and some people never will, and that's okay. The Green Bird Brigade said, are there mods in here? Bianca said, LOL, I'm about to get modded. As long as, I mean, see, the thing is, I don't read the, I sometimes I'm scrolling through, I'm not reading the ads to each other. So, when you said you're getting modded, is there anything that you did? Like, what, like, were you still being kind? Or here's the thing. It's so hard, right? Because, this is the hard part, right? Like, if you're going back and forth because you're feeling a particular way, and the other person's engaging, but then they might hit a point where they're like, okay, maybe it's not going to be a worthwhile conversation because if the purpose of a conversation is just to understand each other's perspective, then I think the back and forth can work, right? It's only if convincing each other is like the point. Then then sometimes that's when it can feel circular. Thank you, Dalcy49, for the daily heart me. Lady Cherie said, if Nick makes a clear statement, it would be less confusing for people, but I don't think she'll do it. Tammy said, has it been mentioned where we can see the time 100? Yeah, it's ABC or Hulu, Tammy. At least that's what I believe. Anne said, I can't believe you're still talking about this. Are you no longer supporting Nicola, Phoebe? Still talking about what, Anne? Because I'm totally a Nicola shipper. So I'm really concerned at what you heard that gave you the impression that I'm no longer supporting Nicola. Was there something specific that you heard, Anne, that gave you this impression that I need to address? Oh, because you feel that the creators are jumping ship. Don't worry. I mean, you can always talk to me via DM. I'm just saying that, like, for right now, and I said this earlier, I recognize it's most likely an overcorrection on my part. But until I feel like I'm in a spot where I feel comfortable, it's probably going to remain an overcorrection until I can feel comfortable correcting it to a place that feels equally good for you. But if I have a choice to make it feel good for me or feel good for you, I got to make the choice to make it feel good for me, so that someday I may be able to make a choice that feels good for both of us. LJFIDDES says, why is Nicola and Luke gone quiet? I think, well, Nicola is, I'm assuming, a holiday, enjoying her holiday right now. Luke, perhaps also enjoying, possibly doing work-related things, because somebody did make a good point about the fact that his IG is work-related. So the fact that he posted that picture might give the impression that he was doing something work-related. So he might be busy doing work-related things. Felker L said, I did not have this on my bingo card after the promo tour, honestly. Glenda Fenda said, I keep coming back to that. Oh my word, I keep forgetting how to say this. Oh, I think it's Claudia. Claudia ring. What do you think about that? I will say that I love the theories behind it, and I felt like the receipts on it was strong. However, if I remove the speculative part of it and just go with what Nicola said, straight up what Nicola said, it was like representative of season 3 for her. Like when they promoted that ring, they had a whole story connected to why that ring was created. So I can only go based off of that explanation, though I will say that the other explanation I heard about it, I really loved and enjoyed, because I thought it was very deep and I could go for it. And yet all I can go and depend on right now is what Nicola actually said, as well as the ring company that made it when they first promoted the ring. Dowsy49 said she time one. Okay, I don't know what you were saying there, Dowsy49. I'm guessing maybe are you saying when can we see time 100 or whatever? I don't know what you were saying there. We can she time 100. I don't know what that means. Sorry. Newtonic said, hi, back, stupid meetings. Glenda Fenda said, I just feel it's my main feeling of them being together. Newtonic said, pollen content is safe still. Yes. I mean, I've never mixed pollen and Nicola. I know some folks talked as if pollen and Nicola are the same thing. I've never seen that way. Pollen is the work. It is Bridgerton. Nicola has always been personal, and it's the actual actors. So I've always seen those content as very, very separate. I did kind of merge it a little bit in my new song time limit, where I talk under the guise of Lord Debling and Colin, but I'm really also using it as a way to share what I feel about, like, hoping that this Lord Debling situation will lead to a Colin chasing the carriage situation in real life on a Nicola tip. Paul in Season said, Emily, I know I was wrong. Everything I did was wrong, and I'm sorry. Bev, I wonder if fans will think twice before approaching Nick, should they be lucky enough to see her. I mean, here's the thing, Bev. She had another fan come up to her, and she got a photo taken with her and all that stuff. So I don't think, like, Nicola's trying to, like, not have fans come up to her. Even when she talked to Paul in Season, she was hurrying to go to a dinner. So that was the reason for the decline on the ask. But she may have had more time by the point that other fan got a picture taken. So I don't think that this moment, like, is definitive of anything. I do think that she doesn't want any filming to be done. I don't think she has problems with photos per se. Maybe videos provide further context that she's not necessarily trying to give people. But I don't know. That's also an assumption. I have genuinely no idea. Beffy 221 said, there's so much information that points in one direction and very little that points in the other. I'm not quite sure what that means. I can only assume what that means. So I don't know if you want to clarify a little bit more your thoughts on that. Lady Cherie said Nicola would be quiet because what she went through was scary, and Luke would be there for her. The Green Bird Brigade said, I think the ring may be exactly what Nick said it is, as much as I want it to mean more. Newtonic said watch, perhaps. Oh, okay. I heard from K-Girl the time 100 is at 7 p.m. That could be either ABC or Hulu, is what I heard. Beffy221 said, then the ring would have Colin ring instead of Luke's ring, in my opinion. Yvonne said, I think Luke's post was more an ad for the suitcases, so basically work-related. I mean, I did look up how much they were. They're like over 1,600, like about 1,600 each. But I heard he got it as a gift, so. K-Girl said you finally caught up. I did. Neutronic says yes. Danny said, why does anyone understand the walk as a confession to a romantic relationship? I'll answer that, Danny, for myself. And with full understanding that I might be absolutely 100% wrong. And I know Lady Cherie has shared her concern with me that she feels like it's a misrepresentation. Well, I don't know if she said a misrepresentation, but like she felt like it was using Nicola's words against her, and that was not my intention. But at the same time, I am going to quote why I think, for me, it felt like it was. Because in the paddle game, when she was asked about walking hand in hand, she said it was love. This is it's a sign of love. That, again, doesn't mean that she's not going to walk hand in hand with other people that she's not in love with. But I'm just saying that has always stood out to me. This is the reason why people would always say, oh, but Luke and her always hold hands. And I said, but I've never seen them walk hand in hand. Like what she said is walk hand in hand. This is the reason why when it was the Australia trip and he went to grab her hand and she grabbed his arm, right? So to me, she felt a difference. But some people said that it could also have been a stabilizing thing because she was going down the stairs. So there's so many reasons, right? It does not mean it has to be a romantic relationship, but I will say it was the first time I saw her, aside from her agent, walk hand in hand with someone, and also because they were together, like just the two of them, not a group of friends. And I know someone had asked, how do you know definitively? I guess I can't say definitively, but I will say there was nobody around, like they typically would be. Like if her friend group was there, usually they're already going to be part of that video. And if a larger friend group had been with them, then she could have grabbed the hand of another friend and not Jake's. But the fact that Jake was the only hand to hold, if people were really trying to say that there was this feeling of fear or something, which like the video just gave me no impression of. They really just looked like they were just chilling like a villain, enjoying each other's company. I don't know if I would say it's a confession. More than for me, it felt like a confirmation. However, I could be 100% wrong. But at this time, that is what I feel. And because that is what I feel, that is why I'm making the decision for myself at this point, which is only my own decision. There is no requirement of anybody else to respond the same way as I do. And it also does not mean I'm no longer a shipper. I've always been about endgame, and I still stand by that. And I'm more than ready to get back to normal postings once I feel like I'm in a space where I think that is what I'm comfortable doing. Sugar Honey Iced Tea 272 said Nick's and Luke's stories were meant to be related, and this incident ruined that. Glorious underscore girl 56 says photo with fan okay, just filming walking a street is not. It is very confusing. Yeah, I feel like there are additional contexts that probably would be beneficial to understand what the differentiation for her was. But I think also it was a sense of consent, right? When a photo is taken with a fan, the fan asks, and then they stop, take a picture, versus like not knowing you're being filmed, per se. And so I understand that people are like, she's in New York City, she shouldn't expect any sense of privacy, but you know, I don't think she fully realized, or maybe she did. I don't know. I'm not Nicola. I can't even assume. Glenn Defenda said that makes a lot of sense. Colin's rings instead Luke's rings. The Bridgerton Ride said, is everyone still on the Nicola ship? Lots of people are sailing away, I hear. I don't know other folks. I'm still on the ship. I think people are misunderstanding, or maybe I poorly communicated, the fact that I am still very much a Nicola shipper. I am just changing how I'm approaching the conversation. Now, what other people are choosing to do, I don't know. I imagine, I mean, I don't know if other folks have left the Nicola ship. I'm here for the end game, so I'm not gonna be leaving the Nicola ship until end game is determined. So I don't know if everyone still is. I'm sure there's some people have left the ship. That's why in the song that I wrote called What a Whiplash, I was talking about people overboard and swimming to shore. Because some people did. Lady Cherie said, if Luke's post was an ad for the suitcases, then why didn't he tag the company? Good question. I honestly think it's still work related. It doesn't have to be an ad for the suitcases, though I will say it was still an ad for the suitcases in the sense that I ended up looking up how much they cost. So it worked for me. Newtonic said, is Ronnie still here? I don't think so. I think Ronnie had to leave a while back. Rusty said, I agree with you. And then Shame.Spiral said, I disagree, Phoebe. Which one, Shame.Spiral? And can somebody pin what Shame.Spiral disagrees with? So I can know. Bye for now said, her AJ are together. That 100. That's my opinion. Her AJ or her. Okay. I'm the worst at understanding what people are saying. Bianca said, intertwined fingers. Are we in kindergarten? I must have missed what. K-Girl said, do you have any other mods? Well, Tanya said she'd be willing. I don't know if Tanya's still in the space, though. Well, did something happen with the intertwined fingers? Are we in kindergarten? What was there something, Bianca, that I missed? Lady Cherie said, usually when you hold hands, it means love, but it's different when it's a scary situation. I think that's, K-Girl said, who needed a pin? Oh, Shame.Spiral. I wanted to know if Shame.Spiral, is able to answer what, they disagreed with, or with something I said. So I just wanted to know what it was. It might be in regards to, like, the hand-holding. Maybe it's the hand-holding. Lady Cherie, I think this is where people's differing narratives around what happened that day comes into play. Because there's people who are saying that she was in a scary situation. The ones that were there share a very different story. But I mean, I don't know where the information came that they were scared. So, okay. I think you need to do a poll, Phoebe, whether people have left the ship. Okay. All right. I can ask. So if you are still on the ship, do a smiley face. And and don't do it until I actually start the poll. And then if you are no longer on the ship, do a crying face. I mean, the fact that people are on this live probably says something, but right now it's an overwhelming amount that are still on the ship with a few folks that are off the ship. Mindy said, we haven't seen Nick and Luke hold hands in non-work related environments. The Green Bird Brigade said, we honestly don't know what her relationship status is, and that's okay. Same with Luke. Glorious_girl 56 says she has walked hand in hand with JVN. I have not seen that, but I mean, like I said, it doesn't mean she's never going to walk with somebody hand in hand, but and I know she's walked hand in hand with her agent as well. Deb says, how do we know we got all of the videos? Why are we believing everything we see? Because that's all we got. So overwhelming 80 people said that they're still on the ship. 9, I believe, are off the ship, and the rest happen to maybe are indecisive or don't know what they're feeling about what, or maybe they're not on the ship, they're just like watchers, you know. But how do we know we got all the videos? Why are we believing everything we see? But yeah, I don't know if we have all the videos, but we also, even if there were more videos, are you going to look at it? Or are you going to refuse to look at it after Nicola's post? Is my question. And why are we believing everything we see? The thing is, I don't know if people are believing everything we see. We have actually quite differing views. Like, we could be looking at the same video and one person says they're scared and another person feels they're casual. And I realize this because I'm looking at the same video as other people and they see people that are scared and I see people that look like they're happy to be walking with each other. So I don't know. I think that our filters affect how we see the moment in a lot of ways. Foy's journal said, why is A quiet? Am I the only one that thinks it's weird? You're probably not. Again, as a person that doesn't follow anything she does, I don't have personal opinions on it. Deb says on social media, question mark. Rusty said, you know what confused me was the festival pics where she was touchy-feely. She never reacted to, oh, it stopped there. Those, but did to the video. Which again says something about, like, she explicitly stated in that post filming. So she may have just an issue with filming. I don't know. That's why I think it would be worthwhile for her to clarify, because I do think it's confusing to people because people don't know explicitly. Like, I think people are trying to surmise what she meant. But I think some folks are struggling to understand. And so, like, I think clarifying would be helpful. Av said, chilling like a villain. I've not heard this phrase before. Love your way with words. You've never heard chilling like a villain? I mean, maybe that shows my age. D said, I'm all endgame. Kim said, that was perfectly worded. I feel the same way. Bev said, I don't get the secrecy of her relationships. Privacy, yes, I get that. Nothing's wrong in claiming your love for someone. Shame.spiral said, confirmation/confession isn't anything until the words come out of the party's mouths. I mean, that's most ideal, for sure. I'm just trying to think of folks that are like, have been married. Okay, for example, the 2 stars of the 100, right? Nobody knew they were dating, and suddenly they were just married. So sometimes people don't say anything until they're ready. So maybe it will never come out of their mouths until they're married. Because sometimes that happens too. They just keep it unstated, and then they're just married. That happens. Bye for now said it was because it was in real time why she was upset over the video. Kim said it was behind her back. She had no idea. NYC Cat _ a lot said it's about consent, I think. Karina said, hey Phoebe, I'm endgame as well. Shame.spiral said, genuine question, Phoebe. How do you make a decision for yourself if you don't know the real truth? I have to base it off of what I know at the moment. And what new information may change my mind, I will allow it to. Right? So for me, that video was new information. I saw all the other information beforehand. You know, the festival, what other things came out? I don't remember. None of those were convincing enough for me personally. For me, this video was. Now, it could mean absolutely nothing at all. And I could be completely wrong. And if I got further information that showed that I was in the wrong, then I would go back. You know what I mean? But at this point, when you say you don't know the real truth, that's true of all of us. I mean, I think that's the statement you're making, right? You're basing your feelings off of what you think is true at the moment, based off of what you feel is true. And you could be wrong. And I'm basing things on what I think is true, and I could be wrong. I think the more important thing is, are we willing to reconsider our stance or what we think is true or what we think is right if we're given information, even if that information may be not what we want to receive? I think that's the larger question for me. And for me right now, I had to be honest with myself about what that evidence for myself meant to me. And there is no expectation that other people would look at that same evidence and come to the same conclusion. Because you can, like, nobody actively tries to think they're in the wrong. Most people would like to think that they are in the right. And so that's the only way I can make that decision, because as much, if I'm looking at that and I'm thinking it is what it what I feel like it is in the core of my being, then I would feel like I'm acting in opposition of my own conscience. Now, it seems like you don't get the same feeling looking at that video. And so you're acting on your own conscience. I think the problem starts when people demand other people to think the same way. You know, you can only, people will change their mind if they're convinced enough. But I will say this, there is this thing called backfire effect that says that the more you try to convince people that they are wrong, the more they're likely to dig deeper into the fact that they are not wrong. I'm saying I'm more than willing to be proven wrong. I'm just saying that at this point, what I have seen with that video made me go, I need to consider that I was wrong this whole time. Because I can't be too prideful to think like that my perspective on it is 100% like, there's no way that this is possible. That video made me realize that it is possible. It's very much possible. And the thing is, like, it could be like wrong, you know? Shame.Spiral said, I was just trying to see where you're coming from. I appreciate that. I think the reason I'm being as blunt as I am is the statement, if you don't know the real truth, right? So there is this assumption that I don't like, and maybe this is not how you intended it, right? But it's how it landed to me. Because when you say the real truth, truth in itself is real, right? So the real truth makes it feel like perhaps, and again, maybe not your intention, that there's some sort of connotation that what I'm looking at is fake truth or whatnot. Like, because why the need to say real truth? Like, truth is truth, right? So that's why I think I was like kind of like curt about it, a little bit more firm about it, because all of us are working with the information that we have. It's just that we're evaluating it very differently. Shame.Spiral said, sorry, it wasn't intended that way. I appreciate that, Shame. And hopefully you could hear the heart of my answer in that. All of us are just doing the best we can with the information we have. And we may all just see it very differently. And can we live with that reality that some of us are just going to fall differently on this? Can we still like walk hand in hand, no pun intended, with each other despite seeing things so differently? And I mean, and honestly, this is like in the grand scheme of life is so like non-life changing, I guess. So and Ronnie used to say this, if we can figure out how to disagree in spaces like this, we can do it in larger spaces with deeper issues. But if we can't even figure out how to disagree in these kind of contexts, we probably don't know how to disagree in larger contexts of like real life changing stuff for people. I'm not trying to get all deep on that, but that's what Ronnie had once said, and I really agreed with her on that. Quilter Jane said, Jay is way taller than her, so taking his arm would be impractical. Hand easier, sidewalk uneven. The Bridgerton Wright said, the content put out by N and L tell a story, read between the lines, and take time to think. CC said, still on the ship. Felker L said, I'm feeling like you after the interlocking hand holding and NYC dates, but sure gave me whiplash. The Greenbird Brigade said, I think people are misunderstanding healthy shipping. Monica 11851 said, I don't think it's the end of them yet. Neither do I. M. Phillips says, I'm on still the ship unabashedly and unapologetically. And I love you for it, M. Phillips. What? Shame.Spiral, I need someone to slap me. Why? Why do you need someone to slap you? Monica 11851 said, this is a point in time until wedding day. Absolutely. That's why I'm always saying to folks, I'm very much endgame person. Omar said, until they get married to other people, I am still here. Absolutely. Deb says, until Lukernick says I do, the ship will float. QEEOTOYLTMX1 said, still in the ship, she's living her life. Felker L said, very coincidental timing with the post over the weekend, though. I think that's why it felt more like a whiplash, Felker L, because I think people felt like, including myself, right, that it was leaning one way only for it to lean another. Tired_teacher04 says, something to ponder. She never seemed to have issue with Nicola content because there are many still tagged on her IG account. Av said, how do you pin a comment? You would have to be a moderator to do so. Oh, and I guess Greenberg Brigade answered that. I don't think anyone can pin. There aren't any mods in here. Oh, I mean, K-Girl was in here and I got something pinned. Glenda Fenda said, I know everyone is putting you on the spot with all these questions that nobody really knows for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I don't think necessarily, I think people are partly just, oh, thank you, Karen Carl. I think that people are, I think people are just wanting to engage, like, Minnie said, what's scrolling up when, but when you said something, what's up? Oh, somebody was just asking if there were other mods in the space, Minnie. But it's good to know you're also in this space. But yeah, so I don't mind, people, asking questions. And if I feel uncomfortable with any questions that people ask, then I will, answer. I mean, I will let them know that I'm not comfortable with engaging with a question, or if it's said in a very disrespectful way, like on a consistent basis. 6 says, were there intertwined fingers? I did not investigate it long enough to know. Somebody said there was intertwined fingers. I will say, as part of the baby hand community, rarely do we intertwine fingers with folks that have much larger hands than us, only because it's incredibly tiring. Like, the spaces between each finger is it's like, it's hard. We're more like grab a palm people. if the size difference is too large, you know what I mean? So I was so surprised that they mentioned that it was intertwined, because I anticipate that she doesn't typically intertwine fingers, not because she doesn't want to, but because as a baby hand person, unless the other person is also a baby hand, or like equally, like, not incredibly large hand, then maybe it's possible. I mean, we had this whole discussion like a month or two ago, I think, when we were talking about, like, was this intertwined fingers with Luke or not? And we realized, like, it's really hard to do as a baby hand person. And I call it baby hands because my niece has called my hand a baby hand. So it's not a disrespectful statement. In case people were thinking it's a disrespectful statement, I just literally have a baby hand. My hand is so tiny. And so I assume her hand is also, as someone who's also the same height as me. Kim said, what will people believe if they walk the red carpet together? N and J. I think people will believe what they currently believe, unless they're open to thinking otherwise. So I think that if she walks the red carpet hand in hand, or not even hand in hand with him, but just walks the red carpet with him, people who want to see him as only a friend will see him as only a friend, and people who think he is more will think he is more. I don't think it will convince anybody unless they're open to being convinced. The Bridgerton Ride said, Bocce, been keeping you and your friend in my prayers still. Thank you, Bridgerton Ride. I really appreciate that. Shame.Spiral said, I did ask Phoebe a question, though. Is that the one that I already addressed? Shame.Spiral? I think it is, probably. Miles said, you read the caption of the JVN TT video, maybe. It's my impression, but it leads me to think about Nick. You read? No, I have not. Again, I don't really look at any adjacent folks stuff. So I never am in the know. Felker L said, by the way, I really enjoy your lives. You're very kind and respectful. Thank you, Felker. Maria Lola said, I would be happy if L and N are endgame, but for now, I'm off ship. This was fun. Now it's a lot of drama. I think that's part of the reason why we've lost some people, Maria Lola, is because of that whole situation where it's felt like very drama-filled for folks. And nobody nobody's really a fan of drama. Like, I mean, manageable drama, like watching it on television or something, people are like, that's fine. But like when it starts to affect your own life, like, it's not as fun. So I think I understand people saying, I don't want to do that. Thank you, user the. I don't see the rest of the name, but thank you for the gift. Let's see here. Stick says I'm half and half. Yeah, so you're kind of like you got one foot, like you're on the boat, but like you're like having like a leg hanging out on the side or something. Empress says never leaving the ship. Karina03 says, we haven't seen N and L outside of work, period. Beffy221 said, and JVN's husband. I mean, I'm guessing that you were talking about, like, JVN's husband maybe, like, holding hands with him. Maybe that's what you meant. Awesome Aunt NYC said, I live in NYC, and there are certain times when I hold my friend's hand to get through quickly. The Bridgerton Ride said, holding hands isn't a launch of any capacity, in my opinion. Ma6 said all the subtle actual messages from Nick and even Luke led to same place, each other. Styx says, but I still ship them because I'd be happy to see them together, but I just like to chill about it. Glenda Fenda said, remember, she and Luke are very private. Kat Y said, Nick always said to not believe what we see on the internet. It doesn't tell the whole story. Monica 11851 said, and it won't make a difference in my life. Michelle MAD said, I had to get off. The whiplash was too much. I hope to get back with some fresh eyes. Monica 11851 said, it's weird. Beffy221 said, original video, they appeared to be moving faster. And then I saw another that was slowed. Glenda Fenda said, they both look very scared to me, especially crossing the street. Sorilito de Maiz said, I think A is like the rest of us, waiting for Luke to come back, LOL. Bev said, I think she was afraid. Vera said she took those pictures down. Sandy said, with the amount of raunchy fanfic out there, I can see they may never launch. Glorious _ girl 56. Do we know what play show they were watching? I think so, only because that post on that other platform showed the like playbill, but I don't remember what the playbill said. Felker L said, but she doesn't owe us that. Poker Kitten once said, Poker Kitten, you crack me up because like literally, I hope you get the answer that you feel like is good enough for you, because I know that this was on you for a really long time. Never understood what stranger she was talking about. She the stranger? Dr. Shaz says, I emailed you. Okay, I'll make sure to check later, Dr. Shaz. I gave you my answer yesterday, but I think it wasn't sufficient for you. Sorry about that. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Thank you, Dr. Shaz, for the Daily Heart Me. Oh, FYI, so I was talking about you earlier today. I think the person was under the impression I was talking about you negatively, and I was like, no, I'm defending her. So I was like, could you please tell me what you think you heard? Because she's like, are you talking about her without her present? And I was like, please tell her that I was talking about her, because I would never talk about Dr. Shaz in a negative light. And so, or any creator. So, yeah. Beffy221 said, A plays games. Av said, I'm almost exactly the same age as you, Phoebe. I'm 1 year older. Hey! Dr. Shaz, I love you, Phoebe. Thanks. Samesies. And Philip says, someone hasn't seen Descendants 2 and it shows. Chillin' like a villain. Buffy221 said if this was a relationship, they wouldn't keep removing pictures. Felker L said, I feel like the cat is out of the bag now. Just own it, but I get being in control of the message. Karen said, love your lives, Phoebe. Thank you, Karen. Shame.spiral said, but you don't know. You only know what you see. Yes, probably. Yeah. I mean, that's all we can know, right? Minnie said, who thinks you would speak? Oh, wait, it went away. Oh, okay. Dr. says the fingers were not intertwined. I'm just saying. Okay. Minnie, can you put back the comment you tried to pin? I didn't get to read it. Shame.spiral said, but you don't know. You only know what you see. Yes. And I could misinterpret that for sure. Minnie said, who thinks you would speak about anyone negatively? You regularly have to talk me off the ledge. LOL. Well, I have been a little bit more sassy lately, Minnie. But I would never, but yeah, I wouldn't speak ill of another creator. I already know how hard it is to be a creator. I'm not gonna add to that on anybody, for anybody. Glorious_girl 56. Oh, I don't know how to say this person's name properly. It's like Sorsay or Sor, but it's Saoirse. The actress demonstrates your marriage point. All happened knowing you until after. That's privacy. D said old school. His body language was off in those pics. Isabel said I'm endgame too, but the ride is extremely bumpy. D said delete old school, please. Bev says I'm surprised A and her friends haven't posted anything about this video. Six says I agree. I think the fact that he's seemingly traveling with her alone and holding hands walking. JMO613 said my gut tells me J and N are together, but I would love to be wrong. I changed my opinion so fast. Samesies. Six says looks like they are together. Shame.spiral said right, but my opinion is on what I hope is true, not what I see, because I don't know what I'm seeing is true. Kat said that part, Phoebe, LOL. Kat said you can't demand people to think like you. 100%. And I mean, I just want to make it sure that people understand that, like, when they come to my lives, what I am sharing are my thoughts. Never in a million years do I would never want to anticipate or expect folks to think like me 100%. Our world would be incredibly boring if we all thought alike. And plus people see different things, you know? And when people see different things, people see different things. It's just more fun. It's just more fun to have different ways of seeing things. I think sometimes people are like, well, someone once said in a live of mine that they're like, well, for some reason, people don't like when I bring up things and they say things like I'm bullying. And I said, well, if they're giving you that feedback, it may mean that you're trying to push a conversation onto them that they're not willing to have at the moment. And so you gotta sometimes like read the room, right? So in the same way, like, for example, the person earlier that was like, why are we beating this like a dead fish, right? Like, she was expressing how she was feeling in the moment. That's why I said, like, because I'm going to read everybody's chats, it's going to feel like a really long time because I'm reading through everybody's chats and everybody has different thoughts and opinions. And so the best thing I offer that person is for them to make a decision to either just continue to wait it out or to leave, because, and not like in a sarcastic way, but genuinely, if a person's feeling like something's not serving them anymore to continue to hear, the space might not be for them anymore. Dr. Shaz says, every time I post evidence, it only escalates things, and I don't want to keep things chaotic. I hear that, Dr. Shaz. And one of the things that I had said, though, was I was very saddened that I think there's some folks that chose to, quote unquote, be your friends and didn't just keep it within the context, right? It always went further. And you know, like, I think you tried your best to just still keep it in the context it was meant to be in. Other people, I think, took it outside of the boundaries that you were, or the borders you were trying to create. Mossick says, if the video was of them casually walking and not knowing being filmed slash followed, that'd be different to me. Jilly said, is there a new video? Not that I know of, Jilly. Black Cat Meow My said, I'm still on the ship at the bar, but I'm tired of trying to figure out all the relationships, LOL. Bev said, ask Alexa, she knows everything. K-Pat said, I'm still on the ship, but my drink is empty. I need a refill. Helen Sherwood said, anything happened? Nothing has happened. Kat said, that's the goal, but people can't handle others having differing opinions. Dr. Shaz says, they did, and I wasn't wanting a huge spread. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's why I was like, oh, gosh. I was like, somebody always got to ruin it, you know? But because everything, that's why it's like, it's always nerve-wracking when things get outside of the context it first started in. Because it can be so misrepresented once it leaves the context that it was intended for. Beth said, perfectly said. Collie said, love that. Felker L said, very objective perspective. Grab a glass of wine and let's gossip about our show we love. Dawson's Creek. I have Dawson's Creek lives every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Outlander as well, starting again next week, I think. Yeah, next week. We're supposed to cover episodes 5 and 10. 5 through 10 over there. Greg said you are at 3.5 hours now. Thank you. I love it. Well, I'm still at 99 plus new messages, K-girl. Amy said, so do we know where Luke went? Still no. But we definitely have a very different definition of what BRB means. Whitwoke P32 said 100%. Andressa said, where's Luke? Yeah, we all don't know. Aaron24 said, I see why people think JN are together, but I still don't think they are. Beth says, I think we know where Luke is. Helen Sherwood said, Beth, where do you think Luke is? Dr. Shaz says, I emailed you the evidence because I care what you think. I'll take the honest feedback. Okay, I appreciate that, Dr. Shaz. And you know, I will give it to you. I mean, like I said, I have a deep respect of how your mind just works. The Greenbird Brigade said the baby hand community, LOL. That's literally what my nieces said. Like, the first time they put their hands next to my hands, they're like, oh my word, auntie, you've got baby hands. Queen of Stone Castle said, baby hands, that's me. Stick says, that makes sense, baby hands, LOL. Felker L said, maybe L went to the bathroom. We thought NYC. We were off the mark. Six says, that makes sense. Baby hands, LOL. Aaron24 says, if Nick wasn't touchy-feeling, I would think JN were a couple. Fav_Rav says, as a member of the baby hand community, I relate to that. Karina03 said, I remember the baby hand discussion. It was funny. Thank you, Dr. Shaz, for the gift. K-Pet said, if L shows up at the event tomorrow for N, I might actually die. Helen Sherwood said, Beth, do you think Luke will emerge tomorrow? Glorious_girl56 says, if they walk on the red carpet together, we will believe, as that would be a launch. Kim, thank you so much for the gift. Maria Lola said, people will still say that N and J are friends, even if they walk the red carpet tomorrow. Yes, those that are sold on the fact that they are friends, that's not going to be enough to change anybody's mind. Tis I Megan, thank you for the gift. Queen of Stone Castle said, I'm also half and half. Helen Sherwood said, I hope it's Luke on the red carpet with Nick tomorrow. Black Cat Meow My said, fandom feels like a soap opera sometimes. Tam Spin said, I need to see an actual kiss on the mouth to be convinced. I just hit the part where you said hi, Dr. Shaz. So hi. See. The Greenberg Brigade said it was an off-Broadway play with Adam Driver. I know that. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I mean, the fact that Adam Driver was in it. Irie 1511 said, I'm still on the ship having drinks. Let's see here. Marcy P said, some felt that Nick very well knew what most fans would think when she posted a day after Luke. Monica 11851 said, I love Spicy Phoebe. Curly Susie said, good evening, everyone. Hi, Sharon and Phoebe. Love both of your contents. Thank you. D said, Sorsha, phonetically. Oh, my friend just texted me to see if I wanted to go to the Cinnabar tonight. Probably. That's what Chad and I would usually do. So she's filling in the spot for right now. Thank you, Debbie, for the gift. Because she's only here for a few weeks before she returns to the Philippines, my friend. Fab_Rav said, we confuse fact with interpretation a lot of the time. That's what humans do. Tis I Megan said, hi, Phoebe. How's everyone feeling today? I mean, I can't speak to everyone, but I'm feeling okay, you know, as good as I can be. And not because of this whole fandom stuff, but stuff with my friend. Because his funeral is in 2 days. So I'm actually helping set some stuff up tomorrow for it. See. IRI 1511 said, I love and enjoy Phoebe and Sharon's posts and contents. Kayla G415 said, I'm still on the ship quietly in my cabin room. Kim said, I'm half in, half out. I love Nick and Luke as actors. Plus, they look so adorable during the promo tour. Thank you, Tina G, for the Daily Heart Me. Shallots for Life said, sad I missed your Dawson's Creek Live. I was on the Justin Timberlake. I was at the Justin Timberlake concert. Did you put on YouTube? I haven't put it on YouTube yet. And I will say too, I probably have to put a disclaimer on that Dawson's Creek one because I got sidetracked by like just talking about like personal stuff too. But Marianne, thank you for the gift. So it's not all the way Dawson's Creek. And sometimes I'm bad of like not doing spoilers. So if you're watching it for the first time, maybe it's not like the best to listen to because I will talk about stuff. But I'm like, it's been out forever, you know? The Greenberg Brigade said, Luke saw what happened with Nick and said, I will not BRB. LOL. Thank you, Not Mary, for the gift. Aaron24 said, we still haven't seen an updated pic of N. Monica11851 said, me too, love the analytics. Oh, no. Aaron24 said, no updated pic of L in forever. AEM underscore 1978 said, I love Sharon's take on things, gives great interpretations. DIY Queen said, what time is the red carpet tomorrow? Where would you be seeing this at? K-Girl, do you happen to know, if you're still in the space, K-Girl, do you happen to know the answer to that? Nona said, everything is changing. The ship is very quiet. 4KNK said, LOL, kiss on mouth to be convinced. Even then, we doubt. LOL. I mean, 4KNK, I'm telling you right now, even if you see a kiss on the mouth, people will not be convinced. They will be like, he tripped and her mouth just happened to be there. They're like, there was no way that was an intentional kiss. He tripped, she tripped. Somebody was tripping, but it happened to be on each other's mouth. But no, I will tell you, I 100% believe that there will be some sort of justification of what they see if that ever ended up being available to folks. Lady Cherie said, I think Nick's PR team will convince Nick and Luke to wait to launch after what happened. K-Girl, what was the question? Do you happen to know if there's a red carpet situation for the Time 100? Or if it's just going to be the showing at 7 o'clock? Kim Walton said, Adam Driver play called Hold On To Me, Darling. Oh, that's right. I think I do remember that. Hold On To Me, Darling. Okay, you're not sure. Yeah, we're not sure then. Crispy said, sorry for your loss, Phoebe. Thank you. I appreciate that. He was an amazing man. AEM_1978 said it would be a shame if their possible plan was ruined due to Sunday's events. Tis I Megan said she had something on her lip. He was fixing it. LOL. And Philip said, please put us out of our misery if there is something launch L and N need to launch. A glorious _girl 56 said some but not all. Shallots for Life said tripped. Kim said, thanks, Phoebe. This was a great live. I have to leave now. I mean, I might be leaving too now, too, because I finally have hit the end, really. Isabel said, I don't think Nick would launch an event. And Philip said, they better not. Marianne said, Nick may just go with Shonda. And Philip says, because I can't. Pori Roku 233 said, where can we, what the time thing? ABC and Hulu, I heard. Helen said, how many hours ahead is the US? I'm in the UK. I would be the worst person to ask. Google's probably the better route because I don't know the answer to that. Courtney said, does everyone still think Luke is in New York? I don't know. I guess we could do a very mini quick poll to see if, do you think that Luke is in New York? Smiley face if yes, crying face if no. Is Luke in New York? Smiley face yes, crying face no. Nick Luke said, why are you talking about this for over 3 hours? Because I love to read every single comment, Nick Luke, including yours. And so that's why. So I'm not sure if you're unfamiliar with my lives, but I'm always behind on the comments. And so I always read almost 100% of the comments. I don't read things that are ats. And so if people are unfamiliar with the lives, it's going to feel like, my word, why are you still on the same topic? It's simply because people were responding to that topic when I was first talking about it. And also I'm off work. So usually my lives, when I first started doing lives, it was never this long. It was this long when I first started doing lives. Then, like, obviously with work. Okay, so 52 said yes, 30 said no. So I ended up usually just doing like an hour and a half lives, but since I'm off work, these have been longer. Because I just really love people's comments. I'm back at 99 plus new messages. Oh, wait, it's because y'all voted. That's right. I'm like, oh, my word. Okay, so, and Philip said, woot. Not.married.21 said, L&N gonna launch us to moon. Felker L said, I don't think they consider the fandom at all with launching anything. And Philip says, it's always a celebration when you get to the end. K-Girl said, all my lives tend to be long. I mean, because I think it's just fun, right? It's usually a fun thing. Isabel said 5 hours. 5 hours? Oh, thank goodness. For a second, I was like, I thought you were talking about my live, and I was like, dang. But okay, 5 hours ahead. Way to go, y'all. Way to go on answering that question. At first, I was like, oh, my word. Oh, 12 a.m. in the UK. Oh, I guess if you're a night owl, you can do that. If you can watch it. You'll probably see clips on TikTok, though. I would think. Like the highlights. Tamspin, you're asking why they're questioning this. Questioning why I'm still alive. K-Girl said, you are too funny that You are too funny that your lives lately have been almost 4 hours. I haven't been trying to have it that long, but here I am. I mean, it could have been antagonistic, or it could just have been genuinely inquisitive. I mean, it was definitely written in a way that could be seen as kind of like unkind, but it could have, you never can really tell. Because people have different tones by how they act. Like, sometimes people just type things very matter-of-factly, and they just really are wondering. But if it was meant to be unkind, I still didn't choose to take it that way. Becky Furrow said, I had to step away for a minute. The thing that confuses me is the double traveling post. They knew. I mean, I think that would always, I mean, that befuddles me as well, Becky. Sarah said, time does not exist. LOL. 4K NK said, Nick, in new audiobook cameo for The Friend with Sabrina. Bier. Let's see here. Shallots for Life said, you are so considerate to always read everyone's comments. I mean, I try to. Obviously, when I'm back at work or things are back to kind of normal, you know, after Chad's death, it's like nothing's been normal. Like I haven't been able to function. Like this is like, the fact that I'm not crying with y'all's is like, there's no guarantee I'm not going to be crying later. Like last night, I thought I made it all the way through until right before. Then I just started bawling. I just miss him so much, you know? But, like when I'm back to like hour and a half lives, I can't read everybody's comments usually. Unless it's like a smaller live, then I still can. I mean, my rule of thumb is if I can, I will, because to me, y'all are usually the highlight of my lives. Like I love your thoughts. Karen says, everyone feels heard in your lives, Phoebe. Thank you. Thanks. Fav_Rav says, I love that you take the time to read everything, Phoebe. Thank you. I appreciate that. Nicole Kulasa 435 said, you are so nice. I enjoy your commentary. Thank you, Nicole. Anne 1417 said, what do you think? Where is Luke? Genuinely don't know. Would love him to be in New York, but I genuinely don't know. Emily said, do you think Luke has his curls back? Oh, I hope so. We know who loves his curls. Not only Nicola, but us. I mean, me. I guess I can't speak for everyone, but I love his curls. Tis I Megan said, love how you read everyone's comments. I feel seen. Oh, well, I'm glad you feel seen, Tis I Megan. Maha said, Phoebe, thanks for always making things light and finding the positive. Aw, thanks, Maha. I try to. I kind of have a natural Pollyanna bent to me. Okay, Nicole said, I heard Hulu will play the next day. Oh, okay, that's good. Watching Lady said, are you still live or is it a new one? I'm back. It's still the same one, but I am trying to leave, but I'm just trying to read the last of the messages that are coming in. Maha said, I had to leave and rejoin. Will you be posting this on YouTube? Yes. I'm working on uploading the one yesterday, but that was also 3 hours. So we'll see how long that takes to upload. I began trying to work on uploading that before I started this live. So we'll see. Oh, I already read that comment of, do you think Luke has his curls back, earlier, but yes, I hope he does. 4K NK said, I listen to your live as if I'm listening to the radio while I work. LOL. People have said I have a good voice for that. They said, thank you watching, lady, for the gift. Ooh, Simone 14 said, sideburns too, yay. Well, I'm less of a sideburns well, it depends on what the sideburns look like, I suppose. Kelly said, yes, love the curls. Tis I Megan said, I'm sorry for the loss of your friend Phoebe, but you have us too. Which, you know, honestly, as a community, y'all have been so incredibly kind to me. It's like so incredibly kind. Helen said, I've ended up living for this as I'm off work sick since March. I do think they are made for each other. Curly Susie said, hopefully curls and no wig. Am said, Luke is in the Bridgerton Red Ballroom. BRB. LOL. All right. We made it through. 4K said you want to kick Luke out of the bedroom if he had sideburns. We hit the 4-hour mark. Okay. All right, folks. I'm off. Thank you for staying with me as long as you did. I appreciate you all. Have a good one. Bye.